Hi friends, good evening. This is Ankit, your host, joining you from Delhi, India, and we have Kimberly Calhoun joining us from North Carolina. And good morning to America and good morning to the world. Namaste to everyone. And today is Celeb Tuesday on IBM TV, and we have a great lineup with a lot of celebrities from different parts of the world, from entertainment industries, and they are doing a lot of good work during the COVID-19. So let's start the show, Kim. I'll start with what's happening in India. We have seen a spike in cases, not like thousands, but there are increasing cases. And also, our Prime Minister will be doing the press conference for the nation, basically. So, the Prime Minister will be speaking just 26 minutes from now. So, let's see, maybe he will extend the lockdown or whatever he wants to
Right.
say.
Let's pull him on if we can. Also, just to let everyone know that, we did a reentry as well. I guess you call it a first stage. I know in North Carolina. But this is what I tell people, the results and impact of reentry is 14 days after, or maybe even 21 days after. It sounds like that movie 21 Days, doesn't it? But if you think about it, you don't know that you're infected for at least 14 days. And then if you get a test result, that takes 10 to 14 days, a real PCR test. If it's just a rapid test, it's just going to tell you about certain things in your body and that you could have had it, but it's not going to be as definitive. Another thing I have learned is that even that test is not 100%. It's probably 80 to 85% accurate. They actually have to capture a colony of corona inside of you, and that's a little hard to do with a swab. And so, there's just a lot of things that you need to be considerate about, and we just have to be careful. I don't think reentry means going woohoo, we're free. I think that there needs to be some cautions. In the U.S., we have no cautions. There is no enforcement for masks. That's what everyone tells me. Some people go, well, everyone else is wearing one. Why should I? Or the president doesn't wear it. Why should I? And, other countries like Hong Kong and other countries that have done great, they enforce it. They charge you if you don't. And I'm like, yeah. So I don't expect great results in the U.S. because of the attitude. But let's talk about, why is there an increase with infectious rates in India? And is it, like maybe for a particular community? I mean, what are the results showing, data?
The results is basically we were in a strict lockdown initially in March and April, and after that we have started releasing the essential things, and due to that cases are growing. But before I share in detail, we have a special guest joining us. Good evening, sir. Namaste.
Hello, sir. How are you? All good?
Good.
Good.
Good, sir. All good. So, Kim, we have Mr. Salil Angola, and he's a famous cricketer and now famous in the entertainment industry. And he lives in Mumbai, which is the entertainment capital of India. And you know about Bollywood.
Big celebrity cricket player that I keep hearing about. It's an honor.
Since I was a child, so I'm following him since I was a child, and I still follow him.
Oh, you don't have to say that. Following me since a child, actually.
Playing cricket.
Oh yeah, long enough.
So how long have you played cricket?
I played for about 10 years for my country. And then I came into this in acting with television series, but that was totally by default. I really didn't want to become an actor, but since I could not carry on playing cricket because of my injury, I had to find certain ways of making a living, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there I come in. Yeah, and luckily my mom and dad was looking, so genetically I was good looking too. So it was quite a to make it fine. Yeah.
Namaste, Sasha. We have a cricket celebrity. So let's talk a little bit about that, Solly. Sometimes in sports, that's just the fate of sports, right? And sometimes you got to have a backup plan. In business we call it Plan A, Plan B. But in your situation, it really wasn't something you planned. Kind of like me. I'm an engineer. You would have never seen me on the TV set or in public view at all 5 years ago. Never. I've owned my own companies. I hire my own PR, but here I am, right? So here you are. Tell us a little bit about the TV show that you're doing.
At the moment, I'm not doing a TV show because the present situation doesn't allow us to shoot at all. So just like you said a little while back, like you had a backup plan. I never had any backup plan in my life ever because backup plans never work. I never thought I would become an actor. Here I am. I never thought I would be a cook. Here I am. So it doesn't work the way you want it to work. Life it has its own way of working. So
Well, you did something that it's called get out there and do it, right? You just do it.
something in life, don't you? You can't just sit at home. But
Yeah.
like um, in television was and acting was totally by default because in '97 actually I got injured. Not really a playing injury though. I could say like it was a bone tumor which had to be operated upon. Thankfully, it was non-malignant, non-cancerous, and but post that, I really couldn't run for a long time. So I had to give up my game. I was at the peak of my career at that time. I think I was 27 years old. I had
Oh,
about 8 years left to play more. So, but no regrets. I'm still there.
well, I mean, so did you immediately go into acting, or was that just something that you just kind of paced yourself into? Explain how that happened.
I'll tell you, like my father was a cop. He was a police officer. My granddads have been police officers, and I grew up in a family of police officers. My father, I mean, I being a cricketer, and never in my life anyone from my family has ever acted. I used to be a big fan of all these actors, Sylvester Stallone, Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these guys. I used to look up to their films. And here one day, like when I was playing the World Cup in 1996, I got a few film offers, but I never knew, like within a couple of years I'll be there, coming into uh, on the TV screen. So it just happened. I had to give up the game early, and I had to certainly think about a way of making a living. And there you have it. I was suddenly offered a TV show, and I really didn't know anything about acting. So I asked one of my friends, who used to be who still is a good friend. He used to be a dear friend at that time, called Mr. Nana Patekar. I mean, you would know him, Ankit. Oh, he's a legend over here. So he was a dear friend. Asked him like, how would I do this even if I want to do it? You just go and be yourself. I said, yeah, it's easy for you to say because you're a legend in this field. I'm not. I really don't know A, B, C, nothing about acting. He said, like, you just learn it on the way. And that's how it happened. And here I am, 21 years in the field now.
Wow. Congratulations for a great pivot. These are things in life that you don't plan, just like me. I didn't plan on being on TV. Like you said, sometimes all your plans just go this way, but
Yeah.
you thought about it. You had the initiative to ask questions about it. You got out there, knocked on doors probably, and talked to people. Being in the TV world, the entertainment world is easy for some people, and it's not easy for others. It's a lot of work. But do you find it a lot of fun?
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew to like it
Yeah.
because but the first year was very difficult because I really couldn't remember my lines. Not even a single line.
I was going
It's
to
very
ask you about that.
difficult lesson learning my lines. I mean, I found it difficult, like knowing my lines and then emoting. I used to wonder, like how do you know your lines and then how do you emote? So like through the years, and luckily my first show was a hit because I was a cricketer. I was very well known, so it really helped me in that pretext. So went on. So I'm lucky in that. But like the right path was shown to me by Nana Patekar, my friend, and I had agreed to do it because if I had to do something for a living, isn't it? Because I mean, there was either do this or then what you do. It was a question like that because I'd never thought, when I say this, I'd never thought I'd give up playing cricket. One day would come and I really wouldn't be able to play. I never thought about that. So it happened. In life, you got to take a lot of things in your stride.
Acting is a challenge. Everybody thinks you just go up there and you act natural and it just comes out. It's rehearsing those lines. I've been on a few movie sets, and I know for a fact that would be my biggest challenge, would be remembering my lines. I would just want to say something. That's one of the reasons why I like the TV show. And one of the reasons why I agreed to it, because the first questions out of my mouth when the director asked, or the producer asked me to be on the show, was, what can I not say? He says, Kim, you can say anything you want. I'm like, I'm in. So being able to just talk, right, and not have to worry about what I say, because I'm not going to use profanity or, and I'm going to be positive. Everything about me, and he knows that, is I've always tried to look for the positive solution. But rehearsing those lines, that's just a headache to me. It's just, and then you come out and you make it so natural, right? You not just rehearsed it, but you got to make it look natural. I mean, that's a challenge.
Yeah, you got to grow into the character. You got to fit in the character. You got to make the people across. I mean, you don't see the audience. The audience sees you. You got to reach out to them, make them feel that yes, this is the guy who is really playing the part, and that is difficult. Very difficult.
What is your favorite kind of roles to play?
I love playing a cop. I mean, that was one of the things. Like I've done a lot of 2-3 cop series, and they have been big hits in my country. And I love playing that because it comes naturally to me. As I said, my father was a cop, my granddads have been cops, so it runs in the family. My uncles were cops, so it runs in the family. I grew up looking at cops, being one of them like that, and here I am, acting like one.
Well, it comes more natural, right? It's in the family genes. And but what does your family think about you being an actor versus something that seems to be more stable, like a cop?
When I look back at my life now, I mean, acting, it helps me play a lot of different people in my life. You can be. I mean, I just did a mythological show where I was playing the sun god, and I was doing something like a detective. I was playing like a cop. Here I was playing like a lover boy. There I was playing something else. You get to live so many different lives in one life. So I love this job. I love this job.
So you've been doing this longer than you played cricket.
Yeah, I am actually. I am so many times. Like even when I meet my friends, I mean, I tell them that I'm into acting more than what I played cricket. Like 10 years of cricket and 21 years of acting.
Wow.
But still, the passion for cricket is still there.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you go out and play a little bit, right?
Oh, no. I'm 52 now. So really, I really don't want to play because the day I play, I mean, I do a lot of fitness, but playing a sport and being in the gym are two different things. For acting, you got to be in the gym, you got to eat right, you got to look good, and all that things. But when you're playing the sport, what happens to me is when I get on the field, the competitiveness is still alive. But my mind says yes, but my body says no.
That's called over 50. I'm telling you, your body finally tells you, no, be smart. When you reach over 50.
No, your body tells you be smart, but the mind says, no, I still got some juice left in me,
No, but you can act like a cricket. You can pretend like you're a cricket player, right? Do a movie about cricket. I mean, there you go.
I already did one more film about cricket, but that really didn't work because people knew I was a cricketer,
Oh, he's not acting. I get an Academy Award for playing something that he's played his whole life. So let's talk a little bit about this, though. Acting versus sports. And in my mind, it's kind of like the same disciplines, right? You got to practice.
See, I would tell you one thing, like, acting was more difficult to me than playing because playing came naturally to me. And I was, even when I was growing up, like, from the age of 7, it was always instilled in me that you're going to play for the country. And I did everything and anything because that was a thing in my mind that I'm going to play for the country. That's it. I never thought about it, anything at all. Acting, I never dreamt about it. I never thought about it. So when it came to acting, there are so many gifted actors. Like, I would say, name a few people from your country. Like, I think Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. These guys are institutions in themselves, and it comes so naturally to them. But when I see them, what they do behind the scenes, they work really hard, even now, even today.
Oh, they do.
They get into the character. They rehearse the lines. They get into the character, and so acting is a little bit more difficult to me even till today.
But it's a
As
lot
I
of
said,
discipline. It's a lot of discipline. You
yeah,
have
yeah.
to really work
Yes.
at it. It's
What
up here
happened was
too. A lot of up here thought, you got to put a lot of this into it.
you get mentally drained,
Yes, you do.
mentally drained. Yeah, because you got to live some different character, and when you're doing an emotional scene, and when you're doing some angry scene, different scenes take a lot of stress out of you. But when I shifted from acting to cricket, I had to take a lot of precautions on my diet, because as a cricketer, as a sportsman, you eat a lot.
But you work out a lot. Like you work it off, right?
You're on the field for at least about 9 hours a day, and when you're an actor, you sit in between scenes, and if you eat the same amount of food every day, uh, the belt won't fit actually.
No, people don't understand that now that you're an actor, you have to be disciplined in all of those areas, not just rehearsing your lines, becoming a team with a different kind of people. Directors can be from one end to the other, really great or just really difficult to work with. So you're learning how to shift, to change, to work with different people all the time. You're on a set. Some days it's 100 people. Some days it's just you and a handful of people in the cameras. But I got a question to ask you about acting. You've done the love scenes.
Oh yeah, but not
Very
those kind of.
romantic. How difficult is that with somebody that maybe you're just not really I mean, how difficult is that?
I can say I get very nervous even now after 21 years to do a romantic scene. I still remember, like, I did one show which did very well. In fact, it's become one of a legendary show called Kora Kapas, and it was the top of the charts for a long time. There I had to. That was my first show or second show rather, and there I had to hug my co-actress Renuka, and I was so nervous. My hands and feet, they were all cold. I was absolutely cold. I had no idea what I was doing. And apparently, when I hug her, I'm supposed, I try to do it naturally, forgetting that she's wearing a wig. So then I hug her, run my fingers through her hair, and the wig comes out in between the scene. And and after, I mean, I can do an action scene. I can jump off buildings. I can jump off choppers. Romance is not for me. Not for me.
Dive off the building. I can dive into the water from 20 feet above, but please
I
don't
have done
ask me
all
to
that.
girl.
I have done all that, but romance is something I can't. I don't know.
Golly, that is so funny. I'm so glad to hear that because I look at those scenes and I go, I just could never do that. It's just,
No,
yeah.
no.
I'm like you. I'll dive off a building first. How you talk about that you kind of went in from as an athlete that you were already kind of a celebrity, so that kind of helped. One of our favorite actors over here in this country, a big actor, was Mel Gibson,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. My
how,
favorite.
yeah, and he got his first role purely just by walking on the set because he had a black eye. Oh, he's tough. We're getting him. I had no idea he was just out and about the night before, not
Great,
into a rumble.
great.
I mean, that's his story, right? I got that job because I walked in, I had a black eye. sometimes it's all about just you, right? But this is what I tell people: show up. You just never know. You just, I see that all the time where people go, well, I really don't fit the role. I'm not going to waste my time. But then they push themselves to go and they get it. I mean, I went to a PBS hackathon. I didn't want to go. I was an engineer, but I owned my own companies and I didn't want to go, but it was at PBS. And I said, I need to know what PBS is doing in hacking, but I'm going to go. And that's where I met the producer.
Oh, yeah.
To be on the TV show that turned my life from. I mean, you want to talk about a 360. I mean, I went from engineering, never in front of a camera, to I speak in front of crowd like you. I'm totally different. Although I was a little more shyer than you. I was not a celebrity at all. So I mean, I'm just a corporate person. But that's what it takes. It takes just doing it, right?
Yeah, it just takes doing it. But only one thing, like, even my son is an aspiring actor now. He's about 25 now, and he's good looking. He's keeping good.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's good. I mean, I have a daughter who's elder to my son. She's 28.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah. So the thing is, now I've completely lost my point. What I was trying to make, actually.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's a complete 360. It's really funny. I mean, when you're talking about a show, the latest show which I did, it was a mythological show which was called Shani.
Yeah.
And I had always thought that I'll never do a mythological or a period drama at all. And here they were after my life. They said, like, we want you, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. And my wife was, you have to do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. And she was like, you have to do it. But she was right. She was right.
See?
And it really came out really well.
It
came out really well.
that kind of support too. It takes a lot of support from the family.
Yeah,
and that's cool that your son, 25, is following in your footsteps. Does he play cricket too?
He used to play cricket, but he's what do you call it? He's a qualified chef. He's got a degree. He's a qualified chef.
Cooking.
All of us in my family, we are all chefs. We make a lot of food. Looking at me, you would come to know. Yes, we eat a lot of food. And he is he's a qualified chef now, and he always wanted to be an actor. He used to come to my sets and see me, acting. So he always said, lately he told me, like, Papa, I really want to get into this field. I said, like, you just don't jump in. You got to start improving yourself. So for the past 3 years, he's been doing that. And now we're waiting for the lockdown to get over. So he starts his first assignment.
I think a lot of people are waiting for that so that they can start a new life. Some of us are going to be starting new lives after this. Are you going back to any kind of TV show when this is up? Are you?
Oh, I see TV shows. Yes, I've become a little choosy about my TV shows because I'm afraid of romance on screen. So the thing is, like, it all depends, like, what kind of shows. I've become very choosy about the shows which I do now. And I'm definitely coming back into getting back into cricket in some way or the other, because it was supposed to happen now, but because of the lockdown, we have pushed it a little ahead. So maybe in the next 2 months, we start the cricket thing also. So it's been a good life. I'm looking forward to this, because this I'm really waiting for this thing to get over, this crisis to get over.
So I know we talked about, we're not really going to talk about COVID a lot today. This is our celebrity day, but I just kind of want to know, what are you doing in your free time right now?
See, the problem with me is, like, I wake up very early in the morning. I'm the only person in the house. Like, I wake up by 4:35 in the morning, and I'm like, I get in the kitchen, I make food, I cook food. Oh, that's Karam Faldata, Shani. Yes. That you put in,
huh? Want to play it? Just for a second, just a short clip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, हर बार की तरह एक बार फिर से grand entry की सही बहुत ही grand entry है आपकी एक बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका टेली मसाला.
Thank you so much. ये actually बहुत एक साल से I was waiting कि कोई अच्छा सा serial इतने grand scale पे मिले. और कम बैक करने के लिए सबसे अच्छी चीज है. आई एम नॉट कंप्लेनिंग एट ऑल.
सलील हर बार एक ग्रैंड एंट्री, और इस बार स्पेशली अगर हम बात करें तो सूर्यदेव जो बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग कैरेक्टर है, मतलब इसे जब आपको पता चला कि ये कैरेक्टर आपको प्ले करना है तो सबसे पहला चीज दिमाग में क्या आया?
पहली चीज तो ये है कि मैंने उनको पूछा कि सूर्य एग्जैक्टली आप किस तरह से डिपिक्ट करना चाहते हो, किस तरह से सूर्य के बारे में बताना चाहते हो. तो सिद्धार्थ ने, राहुल ने बताया कि कि गॉड ऑफ विजडम, गॉड ऑफ लाइट, गॉड ऑफ गिविंग लाइफ, राइटियस ब्रेव वॉरियर, और एक तो अच्छा है, नहीं तो बुरा है, बीच में कुछ नहीं है, स्कीमिंग चीजें कुछ नहीं है. तो इस तरह की, लेकिन वो है थोड़ा इगोइस्टिक. तो बहुत सारी चीजें मेरे खुद के इससे मैच की, लेकिन वो थोड़ा इगोइस्टिक वाला थिंग, वो थोड़ा आई एम नॉट सो इगोइस्टिक एट ऑल, बट वो बाकी सारी चीजें की, और मैंने बहुत सारा एक्शन भी है इसमें. So it was good fun. I immediately said yes.
वैसे ये ईगो वाला जो कंफ्यूजन है वो तो वैसे भी
Wow.
दूर हो.
What a outfit! Oh my god!
Yeah,
A
that
king!
outfit, that outfit weighed 40 kgs. That's around about 88 pounds.
But
Wow!
you have this body to take those 40 kgs.
Oh yeah, that's what everybody says. But बाद में मेरी वो लगती है ना.
Wow! So you're carrying all of this weight. You got to remember your, lines. You've got to remember your movement.
Yeah, I mean,
People don't understand. It's not just the lines; is you got to move with the lines. Oh my gosh!
it's not the question of lines, because this thing I did about 3 years back. So I was already in the industry for the past 17 or 18 years, but this was the first period drama where I would not speak Hindi. There were a lot of Sanskrit words inside it, in it, very very chaste Hindi, very pure Shuddh Hindi.
Wow!
I had a lot of problem. If it wasn't for my wife around me, because she's a doctor by profession, and she's from Allahabad, where Mr. Bachchan is from, and she speaks very very pure Hindi, Shuddha Hindi, So she helped me a lot, knowing what I was supposed to say. Because the first day I shot for it, I was like, absolutely, I didn't know what to emote, because I didn't understand one single word of that thing at all.
It's you got to have that support, right? It just makes, that's what people don't understand. That makes all the difference. Is somebody there? They're not necessarily holding your hand, but got your back, right? They got your back. That is awesome. So,
Salil sir, I want you to explain how big is the television industry, because people in different parts of the world, they are not aware how big we are in terms of Bollywood, and how big we are in terms of television, and how many languages we are doing it. Because they still think that it's not up to the mark as all other industries. Basically, yeah.
Okay. Let me start by saying that first of all, we cater to at least about around 40 languages.
Wow.
Different languages. And the show which you just saw was dubbed in about 16 languages and telecast everywhere. The whole Bollywood or TV industry or the Bollywood industry, we have, it's a business of around 10,000 crores annually, which I really wouldn't know how much would that be in US dollars. Maybe a couple of billion, actually,
Yeah.
dollars. And there are two religions in this country. One is Bollywood and one is cricket. And I'm lucky to be a part of both.
You have no idea what the third one is. They can fight over it.
There's no religion at all. No third one. I don't believe in that.
True religion. And they're equal, right? Bollywood and cricket and Bollywood.
Absolutely. Hand in hand.
But you know what? Sports and entertainment, that's what drives a lot of people, inspires people to do things, to not sit on the couch. Definitely, you got to look at that, right? People would sit around and do nothing if they didn't have somebody to say, wow, look what he's doing. look what Sally's doing. I want to do that. And so that's what you do. You're that influencer, that inspirational influence. So way to go. I mean, your son's following your footsteps.
Oh yeah, I mean, see, I'll tell you one thing. One thing which I followed in my life all throughout. I would say, like, I would not try to go and do and inspire somebody. I just did whatever came to my mind, what I felt like. I never tried to do anything. It just happened the way I was. And I keep on telling my wife. My wife gets a little irritated with the whole thing. You just got to be yourself. Right? I mean, I said, like, now I'm 52. I'm not going to change. I'm going to be this way till the end. So but that's what I followed all my life, and I've been keep on telling my kids too. I even have a granddaughter now who's just started talking now. So I teach her to, just be yourself and be true in whatever you do. Life is too simple. You can make it difficult.
It is. Have you thought about doing maybe something kind of like what Ann Kid and I do, maybe where you interview people and talk about your journey and talk about their journey? Because you've got a world experience now, lifetime experience. Have you thought about that?
Maybe if I could, I would. I mean, the thing is, like, for now, suppose now you two are talking to me, you really have to know a lot about me to talk to me, isn't it? That's where I go lazy. If it's given to me on a platter, yes, I would do it.
It's a different way of doing things. I started the TV show where I could just say whatever I want and talk and ask a lot of questions, and then I merged into going to a movie set, and I was like, no, not for me. But I was over 50, so I know, like you, I know who I am, and I'm like, that's too much work. It's glamorous, but actually, it's not. You're changing all day. You break out into a sweat. You got to go redo your makeup. Do you wear makeup?
I have to. The thing is, like, as I've grown older, I've got a little bit of, these. What do you call these? These are allergic marks. I don't know for what allergy. Whenever I eat nuts, I get this kind of allergy. But I love nuts, so I don't stop eating them. I get this allergy. My wife cures me. I'm back again. So the thing is, like,
gotta eat. So I'm glad to hear you guys wear makeup too. I'm glad to hear that. So I'm gonna watch. Are there any of the movies in English, Ankit?
Not in English, but I think we have some dub series maybe in English.
Or maybe subtitles. I like subtitles. I read subtitles.
I see a lot of Tamil and Telugu movies, which I don't understand at all, but I see those subtitles,
That's what I do.
I love watching those Tamil and Telugu amazing action, which you don't understand exactly how it happened, but it happened. Right. So you got to watch it. Yeah, you got to watch it.
There are some movies you can watch and you can figure it out, and subtitles actually help you learn another language. Sometimes you read and listen enough that it just kind of blends into your head, and you start going, "Okay, I know what they're saying." So it just, that's how I kind of learned another language one time, was just, diving in and listening as much as possible. But I thank you for your time. I think we got our next guest up, but can we have you back?
Oh, yeah.
David, can we have you back?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. And I would like to again, we have to discuss about healthy things, and also how delicious. I know about the biryanis and all those.
Talk about the food next time.
Yeah,
I want to talk about the food next time.
Thank you, sir. Thank
you. Definitely. Good order. Cheers. Take care.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. David. How you doing?
Very good.
Sasha. Hello, David.
You're looking great today. I love the tie.
Oh, thank you.
The boy is nice. Yeah.
I'm at work. This is on Saturday.
Oh, no, it's not a Saturday. I never change. It's always a jacket for me, right? So, Nick doesn't come in with a tie on Saturdays either. So, how have you been?
Very good, thanks.
So, what's new in the horizon in the medical field?
Well, we got our case report accepted for publication.
Congratulations. When did this happen?
Over the weekend.
Wow. Wow. That takes a lot of work.
Well, yeah, the end is not that hard, but it took a while to get these patients, and most of my patients did fine with prednisone, but then this one guy, this young kid, 18-year-old kid, just got worse and worse over 16 days, and I thought I was going to lose him, and then he gets, I mean, an 18-year-old dying on your hands is not a good feeling. And then 2 doses of quercetin, and he's better than he's ever been. I mean, he's back to normal completely.
Now, were these COVID patients?
Right. Well, you never know. I mean, the testing is so far behind.
Yeah.
And this guy actually tested negative, both by PCR and by serology. And it turns out that 18-year-olds frequently are false negatives.
Do you think it's because of their complete immune system and things that we've been talking about, where their cells are just more younger than an older person, so it might be easier to determine?
Well, there's a definite difference between young and old in terms of antibody titer, but the other thing is that the higher the antibody titer, the worse people do.
Right.
But it's not as if these antibodies are really protecting them. They're almost a sign of how badly the virus is tearing them up. But this patient, you know, he had burning in his chest every time he took a breath for the first time in his life, and he's had asthma for 14 years since he was 4 years old. For the first time in his life, he thought he was going to die.
So, you know, I've spoke with a few people, some people who never even had the test, decided, I guess, to tough out whatever it is they thought they had at home. And everyone has this unusual burning and pain in their chest. Some have just defined it as like feeling like shards of glass in their lungs. Very, very sharp pains. When I was sick this time, every time I breathed in deep, I have very good lungs. I get them tested quite often. But because one of my neurological disease, sometimes it causes me to feel like I'm suffocating, but I'm not. My lungs are really good. The pain that I was feeling every time I breathed was very, very painful. I chose not to go to the doctors because, you know, the fever would come and then it would go. The fever would come and then it would go. So, and then I was speaking with another friend who had exactly the same symptoms, the same time frame that I did. And you know where? So here's what's weird. We bumped into each other and met at the Super Bowl event, right? And we both have identical symptoms and everything, but more like from Super Bowl, which was February 4th. February 4th. And we started our symptoms probably in the mid-March. Now that's a long term, you know, so maybe we didn't get it at the same time, but I just thought that was weird. You know, that we were both talking about, wow, you know, this happened. This is when I've had it. And both of us is the same time frame. And I go, could we have had minimal symptoms and then it just erupted on us a month later, or, you know, a month and a half later?
Right. This incubation period is quite variable. I just talked to a patient today who was traveling around in Switzerland and Austria and Hungary over New Year's and spent most of the time in bed while she was there and still has COVID-19 symptoms. This is now 5 months later. So wow. I'm going to try her on quercetin. If it's COVID-19 and if quercetin works, it should take away her symptoms in a few days.
And again, this is something that we've had a talk with Dr. Art, maybe get the two of you on as well. He's worked the front lines as a family practitioner, but he's treated a lot of patients with COVID, purely systematic treatments, right? He's not really done more than systematic treatments. He's had 0 patients die, so he's very, very happy. that has been his situation. I think once we understood a little bit more about the disease, we saw the death rate drop drastically, because I think it was just too massive for us to treat, and we didn't know what to do with it. People were overthinking. Remember, we talked about this when you first told me that you were using asthma, and I go, it's right there at the tip of our nose the whole time. We were overthinking the whole thing. That, and I don't think, at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to need a vaccine.
No, I think natural immunization is probably the way to go. And it's going to happen the minute people emerge from their houses. But what they need to know is, so as not to die, they need to take something to protect them from the virus. And the only thing that I've heard of, and I've tried prednisone, hasn't actually worked in this one case I'm reporting. It did work in a bunch of people, but why not just use quercetin, which is infinitely safer than prednisone? What did your other guy use, Dr.
The
Art?
guy, he stayed home and just toughed it out and was going out in the sunshine every day and drinking a lot of vitamin C and D. He was, listening to doctors about, and he kept thinking, oh, it's over, it can't be COVID, and then boom, it hit him again. Oh, and it was the same with me. And we still text each other. We still feel wore down, slept a lot. But he had that opportunity, right? I'm not going to say luxury, but he had that opportunity to be able to sleep more than normal, and things like that. But that's, a lot of probably sinus, medical things to help treat. Yeah. But here's what I did. All right, I'm going to make a confession on TV. If they want to come arrest me, fine. A year earlier, my doctors had prescribed to me some antibiotics, and but before then, he realized, oh my God, you know what? You're really traveling, so I'm just going to give you a shot. I had an infection at the time, but he said, but go fill the prescription in case it doesn't work, because I was traveling for 8 weeks at a time. So I went and filled it, but I never needed it. So I you kind of store it. I was getting ready to throw it away in January, and I said, I'll keep it a little bit longer. So I was getting real infected. Like, people couldn't see it on the show, but my jaw and neck were swollen like this. I could barely breathe. It hurt so bad, but I was coming on the show every day. I had good makeup and just didn't turn a certain way, but I was swollen. I could barely move my jaw. And I broke down. I said, my doctors, they wouldn't prescribe me anything. So I found them. I forgot I had them. I started taking them, and everything started to clear up, including the infection in my lungs, what felt like an infection. But I still felt like something sharp was in there. Like, I would get really sharp pains. When I completed the full bottle of the prescription, and I was sitting outside every day in the sun because it got warmer where I could go sit outside every day, that's when it completely left. Completely.
But
why doesn't antibiotics work?
Well, they never work for viruses.
Why not?
Because antibiotics are directed against bacterial structures that viruses don't have. So against the ribosomes or against the cell wall, and viruses just don't have them. Viruses are nothing more than DNA in a little package that gets inside the cell.
If they cause an infection, say if the virus gets in and causes an infection, why not treat it with an antibiotic?
Well, it'd be like, it'd be like treating an apple disease with an anti-orange agent. I mean, it's just irrelevant. It won't work.
Okay, because I took dicycline or I can't remember. It starts with a D.
Dicycline.
Yeah, so it I could feel a difference within 2 to 3 days. He said he had the same symptoms: headaches, eyes burning. I mean, it was but it was the sharp pain in the chest. I'm like, I must have COVID, but there's no sense in me going to the doctor now. If it gets worse, then I'll because I've stayed in touch with my doctors. But I just chose to stay at home, and fortunately, I found that that's what cleared it up for me. And I did do nasal spray occasionally just to help open up my nasal area.
Well, how are you feeling now?
Tired.
Well, tell me, because there's, it looks a lot like chronic fatigue, this post-COVID-19 syndrome that people are having, can drag on forever. And why not try quercetin for that? See if it'll.
I might do that. I don't know how to get a prescription for it, but
You don't need a prescription.
Okay.
It's in plants. I mean, the most you can get is from capers.
Yeah, and I don't like capers, but I'll get it. I'll get it.
Yeah, you can order it online, GNC or Amazon. It's about 15 cents a pill.
I'll do that, because that was something my friend was telling me. He said that he just feels tired and run down all the time. That it is just like, because it feels like it just sucked the wind out of your lungs, right?
Yeah, well, TNF alpha makes you tired and gives you muscle aches. And TNF alpha is one of the 200 things that mast cells release when they degranulate. And the idea is that essentially this virus is giving people systemic mastocytosis. It's making their mast cells more active. And there's actually a community of mast cell activation syndrome, MCAS patients, about 4,000 patients. And I just talked to them yesterday, and they're very excited that a lot of them are already using quercetin. And so they're very excited to hear that COVID is like their disease.
Quercetin. You know what? Maybe we need to. I'm definitely going to add that to my shopping list, and because I'm actually and I'm kind of scared. I might cancel my trip. I had planned to go into town today to shop and pick up some things I need, and then I remembered when I was making my plans that they just did reentry. So all these crazy people are going to be out. Nobody's wearing, half the people are wearing masks, because in the U.S., we got this mindset of, well, everybody's wearing masks. Why should I? And then we have this other set. I'm better than everybody else. Why should I wear a mask? And then we got the Trumpettes who go, well, Trump's not wearing a mask. Why should I? But they don't realize Trump's getting tested every day, even though he said, testing's ridiculous and over exaggerated. We're over exaggerating tests, and he gets tested every day, people, every day. So, don't listen to your leader. He's not one to practice what he preaches and touts. But anyway, and this shouldn't be about that. But get these healthy things. Quercetin. It's not going to hurt you, is it?
No, you're already eating 10 to 15 milligrams a day in the food.
Yeah, I mean, quercetin is a healthy alternative. It is tested and proven to be a good systematic treatment for COVID and maybe the post-systematic treatment. What are you finding post-COVID besides fatigue?
It goes on forever. I mean, it can go on like Lyme disease or West Nile. It can go on for a long time.
Wow. What is the research showing why it's lasting so long? Is it because it tears inside the human body, that it just kind of tears at you?
Well, I mean, we don't know anything yet, because it just sort of started, in the fall, late fall, winter. And so as the years go by, we'll learn more about the post-COVID syndromes. We're finding out about Kawasaki's in kids. We don't really understand, although the virus can replicate in endothelial cells, and it's it's arterial endothelial cells that are clotting off and getting inflamed. It's essentially a vasculitis induced by viral replication inside the lining cells of the arteries. So this virus can do lots of things, and staying in the body, as we discussed, there's no way to kill it. There's no way to get rid of the virus. And once it sets up an allergic reaction, there's nothing really to stop it, the allergic reaction from going on. And so essentially, it's, there may be enough nuclear capsid around to chronically stimulate mast cells, to chronically degranulate and release. So everybody becomes an MCAS patient, a mast cell activation syndrome patient. That may be the explanation for the long-lived reactions. You may be an MCAS patient now because of the fatigue from TNF-alpha.
Well, I'm going to fight it. So people don't know. I mean, I fought the walk again. So, I mean, I will fight it because I don't like being fatigued. But I'm going to tell you what, it can be very depressing. And for people who might have a tendency of falling into depression, which are people who carry pain, people who have chronic pain can have a tendency of going into depressions. Having chronic fatigue can fall into depression, and then depression falls into more chronic fatigue. So you got to have a new mental state of mind. You got to say, no, I'm not going to curl up in that ball and go under that blanket and watch, binge watch a TV show, or you're going to have to find something else. You're going to have to open a book. Don't watch TV, because too much TV can cause you to become more chronically depressed and fatigued. People don't know this, right? They don't know that those light rays from the TV can cause you to become more. So get outside, get some fresh air, force yourself 15 minutes a day. That's how I feel. Fight it. Don't let it consume you, because this is not good. Eat the right foods. Try these ideas. But let's talk about something that you mentioned real quick earlier about what the children are going through, the Kawasaki syndrome. What is that? Explain. I mean, I've just seen blogs or posts about it recently. Is there a reason why this is appearing at the same time COVID? Or, I mean, what's up with that?
Well, I'm not a pediatrician, and I've never seen a Kawasaki patient. Hi, Lynn. How you doing?
Hi, Lynn.
I'm listening to a great conversation. I love this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he's brilliant doctor. So this is fun for me. I love talking to brilliance. So let's go.
That's Sasha.
This is brilliant.
Well, Sasha and I, we had our breakfast together this morning, so I had my big dose of brilliance this morning. So, I woke up with the power of positive thinking with Sasha.
Nice.
That's what I had with Sasha this morning. But so share with us about this Kawasaki thing that's going around that's making headlines.
So Kawasaki. So the problem with Kawasaki is, it's obviously named after Dr. Kawasaki. So it's a Japanese thing. God knows why it's been seen in Japan more than elsewhere. It's very rare in the US. So for us to see it is automatically newsworthy. I mean, it's a case report. And then to have 8 or 15 cases in New York City is extraordinary, because I don't think they've had more than 1 case a year ever. So it's quite a cluster. And given the pandemic that's going on, and you have to wonder whether COVID-19 virus is causing this very unusual phenotype in kids. And of course it is. I mean, the easiest assumption is that anything you see is related. There's another approach, which is, no, prove it to me. Kawasaki's is just a coincidence. The 15 cases just happened to coincide with COVID-19, has nothing to do with it. I happen to believe that, I happen to believe that everything is causally related. And it's not hard to come up with hypotheses why it should be. Like we talked about, this virus living inside the endothelial cell, and just like it does in the pulmonary endothelial cell, where it creates D-dimer production, these evidence of clot inside the lung, and all these symptoms, the burning and the fibrosis and stuff,
look at his eyes, okay? And I will tell you, oddly enough, my eyes have done nothing but burn and feel like they've been on fire since I became sick in the earlier March time frame. My eyes burn so bad some days. I wonder if I can come on the set and even turn on lights and be here. I find a will to do it, okay? But when I look at this picture, I sympathize because the burning feels like a hot poker in your eye. I mean, it's horrible. I use cold masks and cold things. I've often thought of pouring milk in my eye because when you get hot peppers in your eyes, that's what it feels like, hot peppers. I've thought about pouring milk in my eyes because that's what we do if we get hot pepper juice in our eyes. So maybe that could be help with them. I've thought about it, but I haven't done it. But let's think about this because, I don't believe in coincidences like you were saying. This is a coincidence. We're dealing with a particular kind of virus, but in Japan, where it's more prominently known, they wear masks every day, right? They are required, not just because of the disease, that is common for them because of all of the bad air that they have, right? So they wear masks a lot, and they have different mannerisms. Doesn't mean they're bad, but could it be because we're requiring people to wear masks now, that there's something about wearing a mask and breathing back your own germs back into your body? Or I mean, I'm just hypothesizing,
Right.
speculating. But that's how you find, problems sometimes, like in forensics. Sometimes we have no answers. We have little facts here and there. So the facts are we're wearing masks more, right? They wear masks all the time. Now we're seeing it here. Could it be, I'm not going to say, could it be something in the masks because we're making our own masks? But could it be just something that we're breathing? Not every kid has it, but breathing back on ourselves?
Well, I doubt the kids are using masks. I'm sure they're not.
I would look into it though. That would be something I would look into.
Yeah, they're not very good at breathing using masks if you tell them to. What this is pointing to is the mystery of the mast cell. Mast cells don't circulate, and so they are probably the most powerful cell in the immune system. And we're finding that out from COVID-19. But virtually nothing is known about them because they don't circulate. They're very hard to get to get at. And it's everything that's appearing on this cartoon can be ascribed to one of the agents released by a mast cell. So the burning lips, the burning eyes, that kind of damage to the skin and to epithelial surfaces is common for connective tissue mast cells. The burning, one of the things that mast cells release is are proteases, and they're in peppers. In the hotter the pepper, the more of these burning agents that mast cells have. I'm quickly getting out of my depth, but my guess is that many of the symptoms of Kawasaki's reflect mast cell activation, and and the exciting thing is that that Kawasaki's may be susceptible to quercetin, may be treatable with quercetin. And lots of the things that we give prednisone for may actually be due to mast cell activation, and a very specific way of inhibiting the mast cells is with quercetin. Look at that. Look at those symptoms of diarrhea and vomiting. That's COVID-19. It overlaps with COVID-19 because they're mast cells and abdominal pain. They're mast cells in the GI tract, which makes me think that things like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's may be due to mast cell overactivity. mean, for me, this opens up a whole new possibility because quercetin is completely benign, completely safe, and yet it's a very specific inhibitor of this MRGPRX2 receptor on mast cells.
Maybe it's something that we just learned to intake daily rather than do a vaccine, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
mom used to give you a quick draw or something in the morning every day before school. Here, take this, and blah, I don't want to take that. It's good for you. Eat it. Maybe
That's the plan. The plan is take quercetin, go out into the world, hope that you get viral exposure. You actually will be a typhoid Mary. You probably still are shedding virus because it happens, and you're already immune. Have you gotten tested?
No, so I just stayed home. I did manage to get my monthly treatment back on track. They made room for me in the medical center, and I went, and it was quite an experience to go to the Duke Medical Center during this time frame, because it was like a month and a half to almost 2 months since my last visit. And they come and greet you at the car. Nobody's in the waiting room anymore. And this is a huge medical center. Like you could go in and 50 people in the waiting room.
Are you getting stem cells?
No. I get trigger point injections to short circuit my short circuit.
Right.
So I have short circuits, and what they do is they short circuit those so that they don't cause me pain or suffering, so that my lungs free up. And things like that. So it's about 20 to 28 shots, something.
So you're immunocompetent.
I don't know.
Immunosuppressed.
Yeah. So I mean, I just yeah. So it has nothing to do with anything other than my spine, right? So that's what I try to tell people. I could take an inhaler all day long. It's not going to open up my lungs. What's happening is my neurological system shuts down, shorts out, and that crushes my lungs. It has nothing to do with get an inhaler, and I'm like, it's not going to work.
That's what my COVID-19 patients felt. He said he felt like he was being crushed between two walls, like his back was against the wall and the front wall was crushing his chest.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Something to do with neuromuscular blockade or
what happens to me every month if I go too long without the shots. My lungs feel like they're being crushed. I mean, the first time it happened to me, it scared me so bad. I think I almost panicked to death because when you can't breathe and you don't know what's going on. After I learned what was going on, I've learned how to self-treat until I can get I don't panic anymore. It's still scary, but no, I think COVID is very similar because of the symptoms I was experiencing. I knew that they weren't my normal neurological problem because they were coming with fever. The sharp pains were different. It did feel crushing, but it was very sharp. Like it's hard, like you're being stabbed in teeny tiny ways, like little teeny tiny stabbings. And but then it would go away, and then it would come back, and then it would go away. And my friend was going through exactly the same thing. He lives in New York, and we were comparing symptoms every day, just trying to cheer each other on. But he's going to go get tested after this is over. He feels like he's safe. He doesn't want to go spread it if he has it. And but I'll tell him to take the quercetin, and I'm going to take it too because I'm going to fight this fatigue.
Right. Well, I mean, this is really shedding a light on mast cells, which I think is probably very important for syndromes like chronic fatigue, maybe even inflammatory bowel disease, certainly asthma.
And who's to say that it's not part of depression, right? I think
yeah. I mean, it turns out it's certainly part of pain. So substance P is P for pain. It's released by neurons, and it activates the same receptor in mast cells to degranulate. So I
agree that there is a correlation, and you can connect the dots. And I think that a lot of things can be cured just with the simplest simplest applications, I think we overthink. And I've seen this as an engineer, right? You have people come in to troubleshoot a problem, and they immediately start thinking way up here because they've never seen the problem before, right? And so they start way up here rather than just right here. And I'll come in after they spent 3 or 4 days way up here and hypotheses and PhD, they have all of this educated stuff come in. I walk in and, oh, there it is. Boom. It was just that simple. And they hate me. They're like, who is she? Where did she come from? But the thing is that sometimes you can just overthink a problem because you stare at it every day and you recycle the same problem rather than stepping out of the box. And I didn't solve every problem. I'm not going to say I did, but I would just find it odd that I would just walk in after they've spent 3 or 4 days beating themselves up over it, and it's usually just a wire hanging loose. Not that simple, but you know what I mean.
It takes a lot of intuition. And it takes
a lot of experience. It takes a lot of practice. This is why I tell people that didn't come because I just walked in the door. That's years of understanding the nature of the product, right? And years of understanding what fails and what doesn't, and when. And years of being able to do what I call forensics work. And anything can be treated that way, just like diseases, right? You have to have ground zero, right? You got to layer it, right? You got to look at it. It's kind of like untangling necklaces, right? This is what I told somebody one time. I'm not a really good puzzle person, but I'll sit there and I'll untangle a necklace, right? Well, that's what this is like. You got to just keep at it until you get it done.
Well, the nice thing about necklaces is there are very few moving parts.
Yeah, exactly. See, in diseases, we not only have a lot more moving parts.
Not that many. We don't have any more than the fruit fly.
Right.
23,000 genes. That's the size of a reasonably large puzzle, but not a 12-year-old can do it.
But the thing is that we have an opportunity to actually start observing this disease that's been haunting us since 1960. It's probably been haunting us since way before. And the other thing that we don't look at is can a fly carry it, right? Are we going to become more infected because it's mosquito season? Can a mosquito carry it? So nobody knows that.
Well, West Nile looks like it's treatable with ARBs, with angiotensin II receptor blockers. Because I published a paper in 2003 or 5, somewhere in there. What's interesting is that after SARS, because I thought losartan would be great for SARS, because it looks like it blocks monocyte macrophages from getting activated. At that time, there was a guy named Michel Chrétien, who's like Canada's foremost physician, whose brother was the Prime Minister of Canada, who is working with a guy named Dr. Mumbake. And they decided that quercetin should work for SARS and also Ebola. And so they've been pursuing quercetin, I think theoretically and in vitro, without getting a hold of patients. They just got money for a trial in China, but I don't think they've published any patients yet. But here they have for 17 years been pushing quercetin. So I wrote him yesterday when I found out that he's been pursuing quercetin for such a long time, because what quercetin does, maybe it won't be used for West Nile, but the structure of these viruses is all the same. There's a negatively charged RNA or DNA, and then there's a lipid membrane for the virus. And the RNA has to get glued to the viral membrane. And the nucleocapsid protein does that. It does it with a positive charge to bind to the RNA or the DNA, because that's all negative. You need a positive charge to attract it. Then it has a greasy, fatty region of the protein to stick into the membrane. That structure is the basic secretagogue structure. That's what triggers this mast cell receptor. So it could be that quercetin may work for like all viruses, like I was hoping losartan does.
And I'm trying to pull up quercetin so people can see what it is. But one of the things I'm looking at here is that just one serving, 10 grams of capers will provide 65 milligrams of the flavonoid lysosides for 40 milligrams of quercetin. So I don't know how many. I got the spelling, my thing's spinning, but I wanted, but thank you for doing that. Quercetin, there's your prescription, folks. Dr. Moskowitz just gave you a prescription. Put that back up. There you go, quercetin.
No prescription needed.
But how much do you recommend if you're getting the pills? What kind of grams?
Half a gram.
Half a gram a day? Half a gram a day?
That should do it. And if your symptoms don't go away, just double it to twice a day. And if your symptoms still don't go away, go to 1 gram twice a day. That's what it took my asthmatic 18-year-old to essentially recover from death. I don't think you'll need to go higher than 1 gram twice a day.
I mean, I was going to say maybe a bigger person might require.
Oh, yeah, but he was big, 164 pounds.
Yeah.
So maybe 2 grams twice a day.
And I'm not advertising any one particular one, but I just want people to see a picture. When I pull it up, every time I pull it up, it shows real pretty pictures of grapes and
that's where it's at.
Your bottle. Here's just the regular pill bottle, but let's see. If you look at it, they show grapes and all kinds of fresh foods.
Blueberries. Yep.
So I think it's a very healthy alternative. Again, it's not something you need a prescription for, so it's not. I don't think it's going to hurt you to digest it. Let's real quick, and then we got Lynn on too. But let's talk about your paper that you just got published. Talk about that a little bit. Share with us what's going on there.
So, all this time, you started hearing the thunder coming from China in December. And the problem is you've got all these ideas for what might help. So in January, I published a note in British Medical Journal that losartan should help. Please look at me, try losartan. So actually a guy in Iran did try losartan, a guy named Reza Najat. We've been corresponding, and he got great results in intubated patients with losartan, even tiny doses, like really tiny doses. So, but it became clear to me that losartan wasn't going to do it. It was just too mild a drug, and we needed to go to bigger guns. And I also realized that it wasn't the macrophage. It's not the eosinophil. It's actually the mast cell, and the mast cell is a very scary cell. I mean, it's very hard to. I mean, you die from anaphylaxis. That's carried out by the mast cell. The allergies and the wasp venom deaths, where you have to stab yourself with an EpiPen or else you die. That's all mast cell mediated. Wow. That's what the COVID-19 is doing, is activating our mast cells. And so everybody was doing fine with prednisone, usual protocol, 60 milligrams a day, tapered over 2 weeks, except for this asthmatic who got worse. I mean, so within a few days, I had him doubled to 120 milligrams of prednisone a day. He was still doing very poorly. And his mother had ordered some quercetin, and it finally arrived. And he started taking a dose the day that he almost died. I mean, he went to the ER. They refused him entry because he didn't have a fever, which was silly. He should have been intubated that day. He took his second dose the next morning on a Tuesday, and amazingly, he started feeling better, instead of his breathing getting worse during the day like it had for the previous month, it actually started clearing up, which is, it's a subtle sign, but I'll take it. And then he felt perfect. 2 days later, he's back to normal. And I have never seen such a dramatic recovery in 45 years of medicine.
So in talking about this, like what you were talking about, losartan, which is an interesting drug to me. It's generally for people with diabetes, kidneys that are not functioning, damages to kidneys, people with strokes, high blood pressure. And is it just like a high dose of potassium?
Oh, forget the potassium. They shouldn't even be capitalizing that. Losartan is a terrible drug.
Okay.
It's made for blood pressure. It doesn't do squat for blood pressure.
Okay.
It's an angiotensin 2 receptor blocker, and its failings actually turn out to be a silver lining, because there are a lot of people in the world who have diabetes and kidney failure with normal blood pressure. For example, Amerindians, American Indians, Pacific Islanders, Hawaiians and Samoans and stuff. And so what I usually use to keep them from getting from going on dialysis is an ACE inhibitor called quinapril, which is a reasonably strong blood pressure lowering agent. Problem is, these normotensive people they're already low in their blood pressure. They can't tolerate. And people who have a virus like West Nile can't tolerate a blood pressure pill because they've already got a pressure of 100. So,
Right.
So it turns out losartan is great for them. It blocks angiotensin 2 without actually lowering their blood pressure. And so I used it for West Nile. It seemed to work in people, horses, and big birds, like great horned owls, and bald eagles.
That's something too that we need to take a look at, is the infectious rate in animals with the COVID. We know that some animals appear to be affected by it and others are not. And this is very concerning as well. I'm looking again at insects. Can insects transfer this disease? I mean, I hate saying this word, but could a cockroach crawl across an infected counter and carry that off with them? And if so, how long does the cockroach carry it for? So these are the things in my brain that I start thinking about. I'm worse than a horror movie. That's why I don't watch them. Because my brain just draws up all the horrors anyway. Oh my God, a mosquito can land on somebody who sneezed. And I know these sound just like far-fetched things, but they happen. They're not just in movies. People come up with these movie ideas because of real life. Stephen King one time said, if I didn't write these books, I'd probably do these things. It's all in my head. But people, this is what I tell people, science fiction, a lot of it really comes from real life things. It just embellished a little bit. So we're dealing with viruses. I think we need to build our immunity. I'm going to order the
quercetin. Actually, so Kimberly, the problem is it's the cytokine storm that's killing 99% of people. They actually have to soft pedal their immunity. They have to weaken their immunity. And so that's actually what quercetin does. It's what losartan does. It's to turn the cytokine storm into a drizzle. That's what you want to do. And for the immunosuppressed, they really need an antiviral. But that's only 0.1% of the population.
So how do we get the and that's kind of complicated, right? They're not really going to spend a lot of money on that. They're not. I've got one of the world's rarest diseases. Do you think anybody spends any money on the research?
Well, did you try amiloride for your disease?
Not yet.
You gotta try it.
Something about that I'm going to have to take no bananas, and I eat a lot of bananas. But I am going to work on that.
Well, you can take Florinef, which will
Okay.
prevent you from getting high potassium.
Okay. So I will try it. I don't know that my disease is growing. It's already, the damage is already there. And
I would assume the cysts are getting bigger.
right. I would. My goal is to keep them maintained at the level that they're at, so that my damages don't continue to grow. But I know that I'm able to control it now. But there's always I try something, because nobody does the research in it, right? I have doctors that treat it.
Right.
And 2 doctors in the world that knew anything about it when I was diagnosed. The fact that any doctors know anything about it today is mind-boggling to me. So, because and everybody Googles it, right? So when I say what I have, they go, and they Google, even the nurses. And so I stick with the same doctors because they've been good to me. Again, nobody puts money into the research of it. Treatment is different. But.
So the whole secret is you don't need a grant to do clinical research. In fact, clinical research is free. And because you can always justify using amiloride. Maybe you have a little bit of blood pressure. Maybe your legs are swelling, something like that. You can get it by the insurance. And then you're getting MRIs every 6 months or whatever they're doing for you at Duke. And you can actually see the cystic structure shrink. Of course, the Duke guy will claim credit for it, but you and I will know it's because of amiloride.
Right. I mean,
and
he's not like that. He really isn't.
I swear to God, I have never met a physician who's willing to share credit. We're all pre-meds at heart. He may seem nice to you as a patient, but he'll knife a fellow physician in the back. I have never met a collaborative physician in my life, and I've been trying to collaborate with them for my whole life.
Well, I was his first.
Assholes.
I was his first success surgery with this disease.
Well, he's a surgeon. He's not going to deal around.
Right. So I was his but he had to specially design a tool, and I had to lay still for almost 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and not move. But I was his first success, and then he's had more since. So I know you doctors, work very hard. He's a surgeon, so that's what he does. Like you said, he's not about the chemicals. Everything else I do is outside of him. He just monitors the growth. That's all he does for me. He monitors and watches it. That's all he can do. They learned a long time ago that any treatments that they did to this cyst would cause it to split people's spines. So they stopped doing treatments. They just no more treatments, because it would aggravate it. And the minute it became aggravated, it would fill with fluid and split. Then it would just kill the people. Would eventually die from that. So I'm very.
You've got the same thing as my polycystic kidney disease patients, which I don't have anymore. I don't have PKD patients at the moment. But for the longest time, I've been interested in PKD. Their cysts enlarged too, and I don't think there's actually been an amiloride trial for PKD, but I do think that methotrexate, it's more of a tumor than it is a cystic thing. Whereas you've just got one cyst, and amiloride would be perfect to try to get the fluid out.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, is that something I take, or is that a injection? Uh-oh. We froze.
He froze.
I know. Right at the do I take it this way or that way? And I'm sitting here hanging on a cliff. I'm hanging on a cliff. How do I take this?
Why don't we take a vote?
Okay. So anyway, Lynn, thank you for sitting and listening. But what a conversation, right?
Oh, absolutely. And just
before
I talk about the dollar store, what David was saying, we experienced back in, over 50 years ago with our son, who was born with a condition that's called nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay, and if you went into a medical journal, you would find a grand total of 1, maybe 2 sentences talking about it. But the interesting thing here in Philadelphia, we have two children's hospitals. Okay, so our son went to the wrong one, and because of it, it took them 4 years to diagnose his problem. We went there because that hospital was affiliated with our local hospital and the physician group. But the interesting thing at CHOP, which is at Penn, they knew all about the disease, but they wouldn't share the information. And it was fascinating. We're lucky that our son lived through it because he almost died 2 or 3 times. But the fact of the matter is that they could have solved the problem very quickly. And all it took was for him to drink water. I mean, literally, that solved the whole problem. He drinks about 2 gallons of water a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. Just a lot of water.
Yeah, but collaboration, none. So there you go.
It's so right now today, hospitals are starting to share their information through an electronic database.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very, very hard. Where I've pushed for it too, because all too often I've been carried to a hospital and they won't even look at my little card in my purse of all of the things I'm allergic to. Don't inject her with this. Wow. Don't do this. Don't do that. And if I'm unconscious, I can't tell them, right? Or if I'm unable to speak at the time, I'm unable to tell them. Of course, hopefully whoever's with me can tell them. But I've asked many times, why can't the hospitals are like minutes away from each other. Why can't the data be shared? And I've even told them, I'm handing my Duke card and go, please call my doctor before you treat me. And they won't do it. I mean, what is it to freaking pick up the phone? This is what I told them one day. What is it to pick up the phone? My doctor will answer it. If you say this is for Kim, my doctors will answer at you. Why is it so hard to do that? Oh, we can't do that. That our doctors are this and this. And I'm like, but you almost killed me, right? You almost killed me with this treatment, with what you gave me when my card said, do not give her this. And they did anyway, because nobody's allergic to this. And my doctors are, she is. So I have had issues, but now the doctors are connecting. They are.
Kim, do you think we should have a health card where if we use that card in a pharmacy or in a food store or maybe a restaurant, by swiping it, the other person will get to know that we are allergic to these things, and then they will prepare the food and they will prepare the material based on that? Do you think it should work?
It should be. Like that's what my card had. It was just a written, it wasn't digital, right?
But I'm saying that if you are traveling to an airplane or if you're traveling to somewhere else, you gave your card. So maybe a credit card or something which says that you are allergic to this, because a lot of people don't ask you. So suppose if you come to my restaurant and I will just cook food and give it to you. I don't ask you what I'm putting.
That's a great idea. That's
a great
idea.
App. I mean, most people know what they're allergic to, and I'll look at the menu and I'll ask questions.
But they don't. It's difficult to share every time that I'm allergic to these things. And I still remember when I was in US, so I worked with my cousin at a restaurant. He's owning a restaurant. So we generally ask whether you are allergic to this and that. But once I forgot to ask, and the guy was looking to have some Chinese food without Ajinomoto, and we made it with Ajinomoto, and that food is for her pregnant wife.
Wow.
And you don't have to have Ajinomoto, and I was not aware about it. So it's just that if we don't communicate, that sometimes it will be a mess, basically. It's just a matter of chance that they, I don't know whether they had it or not, but I got it to know after a week or so. So if we start doing something, sharing information, because now we have to do it. Post-COVID, we need to share a lot of information with each other whenever we are doing a transaction or things like that. And health is something very important. And food, if you are eating, or if you are getting it done for someone else, you have to know what's in and what's out.
It could be easily done to do an app where restaurants, if they're willing to do this, their full recipe goes into a thing that automatically isolates. And so a person can walk up, sit down and look at the menu. And if their card says that they're allergic to certain things, then it automatically takes that menu and sorts it for them, right? So it could be digitalized. And so they're not giving away their secret IP recipe. The AI does it, right? And so the AI is going to say, you know what, you're allergic to chive garlic. Like my sister, she's allergic to chive garlics. And it would automatically go through and go, you can't have these 5 items on here, or order it. Make sure if you want it, order it without the chive garlic. Yeah, I think that would be a brilliant app. And I think it would be easy for most restaurants to enter all of their ingredients and do that.
Here's an issue. My daughter was, and she's been treated. I won't go through how it worked, but she couldn't even go near a place that was cooking shellfish. Okay, so the fumes of the shellfish would she would go into anaphylactic shock. Okay, but she would call the restaurants ahead of time, and she would say to them, "Are you cooking shellfish?" No. The problem is that she would walk in and they cooked it yesterday and the fumes were there. So our throat would start to close up. Or alternatively, there are people who, if you cook in a pot or a pan that cooks something that they were allergic to, even if they're not eating something that they're allergic to, the problem is that it's in the pan and the pans weren't cleaned properly. So I think Ankit's idea is a fantastic idea, but it's not a cure-all for 100% of the cases. But let me do this because I am going to.
Yeah.
Well, I actually had to cancel a 11 o'clock meeting that I had while I was listening. Hey, look, it was worth every second listening to what David had to say. He's brilliant. He really is brilliant.
He is, and I need to connect him with a friend of mine whose dad is very, very sick with dialysis. And I've been trying to make that happen, but he's been so busy. But what he studies and research is very, very necessary, and I hope we can connect him with some of the doctors from India, because they seem to be very interested in his research as well. But let's get you going because you've been very patient. Let's talk about what's going on at the dollar store.
Sasha, how are you today?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
We had a beautiful breakfast with Kim in the morning. And so the days
so
got going.
So I just want you to know, I do know it snowed at 8 o'clock yesterday morning because my daughter told me that Toronto had snow, a blinding snowstorm. So there you go. Anyway, you're finished. It's going to the 80s this weekend here in Philadelphia. So hopefully up in Toronto, that means you'll be above 35. So.
Many years ago, there was a very good promo in Toronto for travel industry. It sounds like this: it's better at the Bahamas.
I think global warming is not an issue right now.
I don't think it is.
I think we have reversed our global warming problems because we're freezing here. Like I'm used to, okay, let's pack our stuff on the weekend and go to the beach. I'm like,
You won't be this Saturday.
But it's warm in the sun, but it's freezing.
On Saturday, Philadelphia will be above 81 or about 81. So think about what it'll be in Raleigh. But anyway,
cold. It's still, we've got a cold wave here, and of course, somebody's saying, "Oh, it's a little warm outside," but when you are standing in the shade, it is freezing.
Oh, it is, and the wind. But let's go to the dollar store because there is a new product, and I would have been interested to hear what David has to say about it. Okay,
and he dove. I don't think he dove off. I think he got somehow or another got kicked off.
It happens, but anyway, so a brand new product. If you click on CBDs,
I think you like the CBD products.
But this is different because
Okay.
just go to CBD.
Well, I'm trying to go to the home. Let's see. Everything's running slow, so bear with me.
It's a new patch, okay? And I got my patches yesterday, but you know what happens? This is the doctor syndrome. You have a problem, you go to the doctor says, okay, now tell me about your problem, and it's all gone. Okay. So I've had a problem with my arm. It was going on. I got the patches, so I got the XL patch, and they're here, and I'm ready to use them. But the extreme patch has lidocaine in it. And my daughter-in-law has a very significant back problem. She has been using lidocaine for a long time. And as soon as we saw this, my daughter said last night, absolutely, I'm buying a whole. Now we can't unfortunately ship to Toronto, but we'll figure out how to get them to her. So
let me tell you a little thing about lidocaine. I know I sound like a medical doctor, but I've had a lifetime of problems. Lidocaine is awesome. And part of my treatments, my monthly treatments, is lidocaine.
Well, here you can have CBD in a patch and lidocaine at the same time. So why not? Now, that was the first thing. I have to look at my phone. But the second thing is the cosmetic that I've been talking about. Yep, there you go. Okay, I'm opening it up. It's called Genesis Solutions Line-Free Lift. Okay, in the 4-ounce bottle, or I guess it's a tube, 4-ounce tube. There you go. That product.
I saw that when I was first shopping around, and I know that that's a very expensive product. That
67 on that company that we won't name that starts with an A.
I mean, it is very, very expensive. People don't understand that cosmetics cost more than gas and oil. It's insane to me.
Gas and oil. Speaking of gas, we're almost, Pennsylvania is atrocious with the taxes, but we're almost under $2. You guys down there, you're probably spending $1.30 or $1.35 for gas, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been out. So you guys don't understand. I've gone nowhere.
Nowhere.
Okay. I mean, I went to the doctor's the other day, which was a trip for me. I'm going to share a screen with you guys here so that you can see the difference.
Well, before you do that, let's make sure that people know that they can go to the IBM.TV and click on the green button. We're supporting the Money Masters mission, which is financial education, and we especially for young people who don't get financial education. That was yesterday's conversation. So I just love sitting here listening to the conversations that happen every day because they're really true. I mean,
that's what I tell people. We're real stories, real data. We're not media where we, give you, we kind of wrap it up and say, this is what you need to think about this. We are the real story. Sometimes we let people, they go, we only have 15 minutes and then they're here for an hour because the conversation just gets, and they go, wow, I really get to tell my real story. And that's what I tell the guest is, and they are, but people, this is how easy it is. IBM.TV. I mean, how simple can you get? Hit the big green button and it takes you exactly where you need to go. Now, I want to share with you real quick the difference in what we're looking at here. And again, Lynn, this is not advertising. Again, this is he is sponsoring us. They donate the money to us from your shopping, but I want people to see the difference in the price in when you're shopping for beauty. It gets really, really expensive. All right. And I don't know that it's the same exact thing, but when we're talking about eye repair serum, $68. Lash and brow fortifiers, that stuff gets expensive if you go for eyelash fortifiers. So just take a look at some of these prices. Can you see them?
Plus shipping.
Plus shipping. Unless you have Amazon Prime, which and nowadays Amazon Prime isn't buying you anything really, because things aren't being delivered on time. Things that I'm accustomed to getting same day is not coming. And not to put Amazon down, they have served me very, very well. But when you're talking about beauty care products, and you can get the same thing. I'm not going to pull up the mask that I talk about all the time that I think is just awesome from your store, but you got to realize that the beauty products are in high demand. But folks, if you can go get that same product at the Shepherd Family Dollar Store online without having to shop for it, and you spend a few other, buy a few other things, get your shipping for free, you get a $5 coupon for registering. There are just so many great bonuses, and you didn't have to shop anywhere. And then it's shipped to you for free. Why not? Why not buy your whole kit of beauty aids? We even have hair color, which has been difficult for people to get. I even when I went to the grocery store the other day, when I finally broke down and went to the grocery store after being at home for a month without, I went to look at the hair coloring products, and there's really nothing to pick from. All of that's gone. I don't know why they haven't restocked, but I'm just telling you, you can go to the dollar store, all of your product. I mean, this is phenomenal findings to be able to find beauty aids this price, and you're going to pay in excess of $60 for a product like this.
67.
Yeah, plus shipping, plus and it's like I tell people, then there's my mask that I like, that I find interesting, the collagen masks. Collagen is really great, supposedly, for the face to rejuvenate it. I highly recommend, as well as my beauticians that I love it dearly, put it in the refrigerator before you use it. It really helps with the swelling. I actually hang upside down, used to, I haven't done it lately, but hang upside down for a few minutes with ice on my face, like an ice pack.
Wow.
And it feels great. It does. Everybody asked me one day, right after my son went away to college, about a year or so later, they go, "Wow, you look younger." And I started thinking, sleep, and I hang upside down every day.
Do you have an inverter?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you? So do I. And if you have a back problem, which I do, and sometimes I get out of bed and I'm severe pain, I'll just hang on the inverter and it straightens me out. My grandson would say he would prefer that it would work on my brain, but that's okay. So,
the blood flows down there, but I like to put ice on my back, so I like to get all the swelling out. So if my back's hurting, I assume that swelling's in. So I don't take the drugs anymore. The NSAIDs are very, very dangerous for your body, at least for mine. And so I lay on a block of ice. It's very cold, but you get used to it. Mm-hmm. And then I hang upside down after the swelling's gone. I hang upside down. Then I put the ice on my face while I'm hanging upside down. But ice is good for swelling. A lot of people, they don't like that. They go, "Oh, I'm in pain. I'm going to put heat on." Well, heat works for some people. But whenever I feel that pain locking in, I know that's swelling. And swelling only goes away with ice. It does not go away with heat. So I've it's a tough discipline. It really is. But my pain therapist, my physical therapist that I go to, they used to make me lay on a block of ice. So after a while, you just, but when you get up and you feel better, you go, "Wow, that was worth it." Just like the shots I have to get, they're very painful. And there's a lot of them. Sure. But after you know you're going to feel good after you've had them, you just go, "Okay, yeah, get it over with." It's kind of
would the lidocaine CBD patches help you?
So I get they help temporarily, right? You have to remember, anything that's a patch, unless it's designed to be medically delivered like for days and weeks, it only works for like an hour or two for me, but it works. Okay. Yeah, no, they work. And I use them as temporary solutions until, and I'm going to try these until I get my shots. So, but the shots last 30 days. So that's why I have the shot.
Wow. Wow. And you get 20 of them at a time?
About 20 to 28, yeah.
Wow.
So they start up here.
Mm-hmm.
They work all the way down my spine. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So, and then they find, and I call it short circuiting the short circuit. So,
Right.
so they find all the places that I need them, and they inject it into those areas, and that helps me move. It helps me breathe. So,
wow.
But that's the only. But it was before that. It was a lot of drugs that ended up killing my body. Like it caused all my organs to go ischemic.
Wow.
But they were years of it, right? Just years and years and years. It wasn't like, oh, I took the NSAIDs overnight. No, it was years and years. But my heart was going ischemic. I was constantly being rushed to the hospital, and we never pieced that together. And until one single week, and when I got out of the hospital, I did this. I shoved it all into the trash can and said, "Never."
Wow. Well, you get the right one right doctor can solve a problem, and it sounds like
right.
Yeah. So I'm going to take my leave. I'm just going to say, please support the dollar store because it supports Money Masters, and I love listening to the conversations. I will be back on. Sasha, I haven't heard you today, other than the fact that if
too much breakfast.
Yeah, if you're looking, if you're looking, good weather in Toronto is in the Bahamas, and I heard that, so I got that. Anyway,
head to the Bahamas if you're in Toronto. Book that.
So, God bless everybody. Stay safe. And we will see you tomorrow.
And thank you for your support, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Bye-bye.
I always love my visit with Lynn. And Sasha, that was fun having breakfast with you this morning. So.
Yes, you have a good appetite?
Yes, you have a better appetite. I ate my oatmeal and yogurt and fruit. And Sasha says, I'm eating this great Italian breakfast. Pastries. Mouthwater.
I felt hungry for some reason.
Then you made me hungry for blueberry pancakes. Then you had to start talking about.
I will send you a picture. I will definitely do that because
really make me hungry.
So awesome. It's incredible. No, really, it makes you hungry right away.
I love, blueberry. There's something about blueberries, right? They're just addictable, right? To me, if I get a box of blueberries, I'm going to eat every one of them just sitting there, right? And they're healthy for you. Why not, right?
Blueberry for sure. Yeah, all berries actually pretty good for you.
Kim, which is your all-time fruit? I mean, a fruit which you can have any time of the day.
Mm-hmm. Sasha, what's yours?
A fruit which you can have any time of the day. I mean, maybe at night, morning. I mean, you don't say no to that fruit.
Yeah, I mean, I like watermelon. I like.
Me too.
Pineapple. Pineapple is really good.
Pineapple.
Yeah, I like those.
Pineapples are very good for bruising. People don't know that, but pineapples reduce bruising. But watermelon, I cannot say no to watermelon. When I was pregnant, I ate a watermelon a day.
Did you try watermelon drink while doing a hole in that watermelon and put the grinder in and then just grind it and then just have it like a juice? Right. So you have to cut it a square and then put a grinder and then grind it completely. And then if you want to add some orange or maybe vodka, something like that, and then put a drop and then have it.
I've never tried that. Have you?
Right, yeah. Yeah. No, I've heard it from some people.
I'm gonna try that. I'll have to try that.
People put Coca-Cola, vodka, whiskey, a lot of things. But what I generally I tried it with soda, or maybe with the regular watermelon with some salt, and it's a natural drink, and you are having it on a watermelon. I mean, you don't have to put it in a glass or things like that, and it's great. I mean,
I know. I posted it on my Facebook. I had a watermelon for Mother's Day, and there's just something when you smell it. You cut it, and you smell all of that. Just watermelon just smells good. It smells like summer. So
I remember one conversation with my friends, and we were talking about some food and recipes and a few other things. And one of them, either he was bored or he was upset, and he's asking a question. You're talking so much about food. What is for you more important in your life, food or sex? So the guy looked at him and says, how you can even compare talking about something what you do 3 times a day to something what you do maybe 2 times a month, maybe even less? How can you even compare that? That was his answer.
That's funny. You know, you got to seriously. And then we solved a mystery that's happened for years, where you talked about the chess player who went to the same restaurant and ordered the same thing. We finally solved it. We solved this mystery of many, many years of like chess, and burned up all the calories and went back and ordered the same meal.
Not only that, he had the same dessert.
He had the same dessert. That's right. He had the same dessert. Why are you coming back and ordering this again? Because he just burned up all the calories. But you know, food, it's just, it solves a lot of our problems, right? But it also, you can look at somebody and go, you know what, they're not eating normal. Something must be wrong. We heard the woman, what was her name? Latte, like
Yes.
Yeah. And she talked about how she craved salads when she was sick, right? I was listening. I kept fading in and out that day, but I was listening because I like to listen if I'm not on. And she was talking about, I was craving, well, we crave things if we're sick, right? And so those those cravings tell you what's going on with your body. Her body's telling her she needed more vegetables, and you know, that builds your immunity up. So, you know, food is the essence to our soul. It's just.
You know, I want to tell you something about many years ago. I had one of my businesses was a food factory in Poland, in Warsaw.
Wow.
So I was going there about 2-3 times a year. I had very, very capable manager, friend of mine. And it's one of very rare occasions where we were business partners and friends for well over 10 years, even more. And it will end it. I sold him my shares, and we never argued, and we're still friends, and we see each other maybe once every second, third year. Today I just got email from him. So I remember that in Warsaw there was one fantastic Indian restaurant by the name Maharaja, and I loved tandoori chicken and naan bread.
Yeah.
The problem is that my wife doesn't like Indian. She doesn't like the spices, curry, and so on. So she doesn't like. So whenever I would go with her, we would go some Italian restaurants, some other places. But when I would come by myself, and this friend of mine, he also likes Indian food. So 2 of us would go immediately to Maharaj, and we would go like almost every second day when I was in Warsaw.
You know, and
I think everyone is having a lot of food memories. I mean, if you talk about food and life and memories, I think food is something which everyone will relate to. And in India, I mean, I haven't tried a lot of dishes in India because we have so many dishes in different parts of the states of India. I am also vegetarian, but I have cooked non-veg food like tandoori chicken and all those things when I was in US. But I am a vegetarian. But I know that, I mean, people are fond of tandoori chicken and naan bread in around the world. And if you know samosa, so there's a snack called which is served in White House as well. So
You
there's a
know,
lot of
Russia actually is very similar. They have in Uzbekistan. They
Yeah.
have a similar food that I forgot what its name. Maybe
Bakla.
samsa, something like in
Is
Uzbekistan.
it a bakla in Uzbekistan? Bakla?
Uzbekistan, the capital is Tashkent.
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 Yeah, they have similar food. Yeah, Uzbek is okay, but I like Indian more than Uzbekistan.
But we like a lot of Mexican food as well. Apart from Indian food, we like Mexican. We like Italian food. Chinese is always there. I mean, but what we have in India, we have authentic Chinese and we have Indian Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
We
yeah.
have made it like Indian Chinese, and then people like French as well. But mostly the popular foods around the world is Mexican, Italian, Chinese, and I'm maybe Indian. That's what I believe. I mean, I'm not sure what if there is anything popular apart from that. Thai food is also there, but Thai is for some
Thai is
audience.
very good.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't enjoy it because of the coconut curry. I don't know. I mean, that's what happened. But I also have Thai food as well.
And Japanese is good. A lot
Yeah,
of good food.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Japanese food eater. I tell you, growing up, probably very conservative eating because poor family, your mom had to make food spread. And so, we ate a lot of Southern food, but Mexican food night was a big night in our family because we were from Texas, but it was more of Tex-Mex, right? But
Yeah,
that was a huge thing. And it's really interesting that my parents can make the best enchiladas that anyone has ever had. And over many, many years, right, from the time I was young, some friends reached out to me on Facebook. And they go, "Oh my gosh, Kim, I'm so glad I caught up with you. Can you give me your mom's enchilada recipe?" And we're talking 40 years later, right? 40 years later, and they're asking for my mom's enchilada recipe. But I grew up with all that. But I want to be honest with you guys. Up until the time I turned 17, I never had Chinese food. Never.
Really? Oh.
Never knew what it was. My first Chinese food restaurant was when I turned 17.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Good morning, Henning.
namaste.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you doing? Good morning to you.
Yeah, we have discussion about food. What type of food do you like?
No, this could take all day. Whole, natural, raw foods. I'm a salad eater, so there you go. Salad eating. I'm a salad eating fanatic. So there you go.
I'm like you. I really like my fresh foods, right? Just and when I'm sick, I crave them. It's really weird. Most people crave, the comfort foods, breads and pastas, which I love, but I truly crave salads. It's really kind of crazy. I'm a crazy girl, though. How are you doing today, Henning?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
You're looking great too.
Yeah,
Have you guys re-entered the world there in California?
You know what? I never left the world. The world left me. I just try to keep my same routine, and hopefully people get back to their normal routines as fast as possible. But yeah, we're being as conscientious as we can to other people and situations, and but at the same time, we're encouraging people to get back into their routines and for their mental health and also for their economic lives. And I think that we have accomplished our goals here. We've continued to shoot scenes for our films. There's a movie that's just about finished. We had to finish it, and we're doing it with the small crews and in a proper way that is conscientious of the mandates and the regulations and whatnot. But at the same time, we have to carry on. And we've also been taking advantage, Kimberly, of the time at our desks at home in our home offices and learning to work remotely a lot more efficiently with our editing and our post-production. I think we talked about that last time. So we're just, carrying on, So.
No, and I was able to sit in on one of your meetings. I'm so impressed with Henning. It's like when he calls a Zoom meeting, it's like hundreds of people show up. It's like a red carpet event with Henning. I'm just telling you, like, you're missing out on something if you don't get to do. You should charge for your Zooms, by the way. I have more fun on your Zoom meetings. I should be ratting myself out because I don't go to my own Zoom meetings. I know Ankit's going, okay, you went to Henning's Zoom meeting? But no, you have this way of attracting your staff, your people. They love you. I've got a video. I hope you'll let me share it of when we were on the set. Ankit, can you pull that up?
Here we go.
This is just one of 100 clips I have. I'm going to try to show another one, but this is one of my favorites because it shows to me the true, one of like 30 seconds of Henning, the true, like, I think you'll appreciate this one. And then you can explain something in there that I love it when you explain what you're wearing. But let's see if we can you pull it up?
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
Okay.
Just having some bandwidth issues, so I'll just pull it up.
All right. And Henning, today we had a famous actor from India on our show this morning. And one of the, they all kind of just locked down. So he hasn't been acting in a while. He's kind of missing it, I think. Because actors miss this. This is their life. And can you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm doing for Henning is I started the pre-production work in India. So once the lockdown is over, I think we can start a movie with Henning for Indian audience.
I want to film a wedding.
Yeah.
Well, that's two movies, right? That's two. We got the wedding, the wedding movie, and whatever. What Ankit's got a plan.
I just want to experience the wedding. I want to experience a wedding in India. It sounds so beautiful. It just sounds amazing to me. Are you able to get it?
Yeah. Just give me a minute or so.
Why there are so many movies about weddings and very few about divorces?
Oh, there's a lot about divorces.
Kramer versus Kramer.
There are?
Yeah, Kramer.
But that was a long time ago.
There is a Greek wedding and there is a English wedding and French wedding. What about divorce? The divorce is a divorce.
The great Greek divorce.
Nobody's excited about it.
War of the Roses, right? That's a reason not to get married. Let's see if we can pull this up. Here we go. I hope it plays. The energy that you just put on the set. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be disappointed.
No, it was working.
And I've got other ones, but they weren't uploading very well this morning. But I like it when he's doing.
Are you able to get it?
Wedding.
Two movies. That's two. We got a wedding.
It's not playing. Let me see.
I'll just try one more time.
While he's loading that, maybe you can introduce me to Alexander properly.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Sasha is from Canada and Russia, and he is the producer of Chess Stars TV show on Saturdays, where he interviews people, world grandmasters. And Sasha, this is Henning Morales. I think you've seen him on our show before. And Henning and I met at a film festival over a year ago, and then I've been on his sets enjoying the movie scene, which was kind of interesting. Is it not that way?
You know that you talking about chess, like the game chess.
Yeah.
Chess, okay.
Chess master. Right. So so oddly enough, my life not just turned into TV, but my producer that kind of talked me into doing this with him years ago is a chess master.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, I remember that. That's where it came up the first time. Yes.
Right. And but what was interesting to me is everyone we interviewed, because we interviewed all the millionaires and billionaires of the world, we got exclusives. They all played chess. that was, that caught my interest.
I have a very bad taste in my mouth about the chess world. So I'm sorry, Alexander, I can't talk to you about this because my 11-year-old son consistently beats me at chess.
Well,
And
maybe
it's
he's
so
very
emasculating and embarrassing. Darius, he's laughing.
Darius, he's a good chess player.
He's like I don't know how he learned it. He beats me consistently, and I'm no good at chess, but I can beat him. But no, not really.
No, not
Well,
really.
maybe he's ultra talented. Maybe
Let
you
me
have
see if
to
I can get it.
help him to develop his talent. Who knows?
You know, he loves it. We play every day. We play, and
Action. I said, take a look.
here we go.
Hold on.
That's the audio.
You can hear it.
Action. I said, take a look, man. Have no fear. Take a look, man. Have no fear. Hey, on 3, 1. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Action, action. I said, take a look, man. Have no fear. Have no fear. Take a look, man. Have no fear. Hey, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Action. I said, take
I love that action.
Take a look, man. Have no fear. Hey.
So this was just a short clip. I filmed a lot of these.
Take a look, man. Have no fear.
So we don't want to watch this over and over and over.
Okay.
But I filmed a lot of the little short clips because they upload faster. But Henning was always doing something. I love his speeches. I've got him teaching them how to do the Henning hop. Like after you do this, you jump up, right, get your energy up. And so I'm going to try to get all of those together and share them. But share the story about the shirt.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, the my story, as we talked about it last time we were on, about the my journey as a teenager, going from a baseball star. Basically, that was what I loved to do. I loved to play baseball, and I had was on all the traveling teams and the all-star teams, and then by the time I got to high school, the scouts were starting to come around and check out the players and whatnot. So I was a fanatic about baseball. I played other sports, but baseball was really what my love was, baseball. And the shirt that I was wearing is the number 15 Thurman Munson jersey, and Thurman Munson was the catcher for the New York Yankees when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and they won the 2 championships. He was the most valuable player. He was my favorite player, and I was a catcher. And my son Darius is also a catcher, the one who consistently beats me at chess, and he's a catcher also, right? So I always wore number 15, even since I can remember. Since I was a little kid, I wore number 15. And Thurman Munson tragically was killed in a plane crash while around the same time that I injured my back and could no longer play baseball. It was around that same time. So it's for me, it was a tragic time. My hero dies in a plane crash and I can no longer play baseball. So that number 15 jersey is represent. Now it ends, Alexander, and again, Ankit heard more of the story and Kimberly knows the whole story. It ends positively. I wound up meeting a group of mentors and coaches and that helped me and turned my life around. I fell into a depression after that and whatnot, but then there's a happy ending and all that good stuff. But that number 15 jersey I had those made special. I have 2 jerseys, and I wore them during my first 2 days of my directorial debut. I wore 2 New York Yankees number 15 jerseys that I had made special. You can't buy them anywhere. And that was the special. No, we lost Kimberly. That was the special meaning behind the number 15. And I wore it the first 2 days of filming because I wanted to kind of bring back that memory of what life was like before I met my teachers and my mentors, and what my life was like after. And that's the story of number 15. And the scene that she was showing, I could actually show you the final scene. I can show you the final scene. It's nice. So that scene is kind of exemplifies the motivational strategies that these guys would use, and eventually I would use to take myself to a higher level. It's the chanting and the constant positive talk that resulted in me changing my life. And in sports we get it almost. It's almost a natural part of playing sports in the United States, at least with baseball and football and basketball. Everyone gets pumped up before the game, and the coach gives a speech, and the players, cheer and chant, and that gets you into a state of a performance state, and where you can win the game. That's the idea. So that's what we were doing. What I was explaining, Kimberly, is what we were doing in that scene is sharing with the world these very secret motivational techniques that we used as teenagers to get ourselves to perform in sales. Basically, it was a sales operation, but in order to get yourself to perform at the level that you need to, we had to get into those chants and into those cheers, and that's depicted in the film Destinova. And so we gave people an inside view of what we did, and those were the actual chants. Those were the actual words that we would use, and that was actually the actual motions and movements, and the jump at the end. Kimberly coined it the Henning hop, right? At the very end, you jump up, and then everybody's pumped up. And it's funny because I was looking at the re-edit. We just remastered the whole movie for our release, our soft release in June, and our official release in September. And I was been going through all those scenes and watching them, and maybe next time I can show you one of those actual edited scenes that you'll see, like you'll see the energy, and you'll feel what it was like, and we did it exactly how it was. I wanted it to be authentic, and the kid in front. It's ironic that you chose that scene, because the kid in front is my oldest son, the kid leading the chant in the movie.
Very handsome.
And yeah, of course. Well, what do you expect?
Oh, I mean, knock your socks off. Handsome. But gentleman. So let me tell you, this guy is gentleman, and he likes to wear suspenders. Wilder. The guy is a dresser. Now, on the show, in the movie, he's wearing t-shirt stuff, but in real life, this guy's a charmer. And suspenders, his dad from head to toe. Oh my gosh. It just and he's a pilot. Am I right?
Yeah, he just got his very smart. He just actually got his permit to be able to take people up. And I'm the first person he's taking up with him. I'm going next week. I'm going to go up to Utah where he is. Oh. So I had my son, who's not an actor by any stretch, but he was leading the chant with the kid, Ray, who's playing the young me. So I had my son on one side, and that's how the movie opens. It has my son on this side who plays Teddy, and then it has Ray Laredo, who's the actual actor, up in front leading the chant. And that's how the scene opens. And again, unless you knew the backstory, you wouldn't know. Like, my son and me, both at the same age, leading the chant. It was cool.
I think, do you believe in superstition while doing a movie or making a movie in Hollywood? Because in Bollywood, there are people who follow a lot of superstitions, especially numerology, and they plan the movie, they plan the dates, they plan the title, everything based on numerology. Do you believe in that?
I believe in that to a certain extent. I think that we all have our rituals and our feeling of when things are falling in place for us. I'm not an expert on numerology per se, or really think about it in those terms as much as other people. But I'm very meticulous about the routine and about how the set needs to be. Feeling wise, and Kimberly, this is what the feeling she's trying to maybe communicate. Things have to be a certain way, and everything has to have the right feeling. And if it doesn't feel right, then we change it until it feels right. So it's similar along those lines. I'm very superstitious with my ritual, my routine, my process. I do it exactly the same way, and I don't deviate from that. If the scene works, then we move on. If it doesn't work, I get a feeling. and then we redo it. And then later when it's time to edit, I'm like, oh man, now I know what that feeling was. And if everything it wasn't lined up, not necessarily numerologically, but if it wasn't lined up ritualistically for me, then I wouldn't feel what's off, if that makes sense. So I think that's one of the reasons that people do that, and is that they try to set things up in a way where they believe that things are going to flow properly, and then that gets them in a state of, okay, if I know things are supposed to flow properly and something's off, they're more tuned into it. So I do believe in that to a certain extent. Yeah.
So it's more about your instinct and sixth sense, which makes you decide what to do at that point of time while directing the movie, and then at the editing time you can relate what happened, and then you can redo it based on.
What again, getting into the actual process of directing a scene, and again, Kimberly was there on my first day. Since then I've directed many movies and many music videos, and so now I'm I'm an expert. Really good now. I'm really good, but I still haven't changed. Some of the technique has changed, but I haven't changed the way I do it. And she was there. You can see we did that take. We did every take of those chants and those cheers at least 7 or 8 times. Mm-hmm. And then people are used to being on TV sets, where my background was more television and live events. And the television and the live events, you do it once and you're done, or you do it twice and let's move on, right? You fix it later. But with people who have been on who are more used to TV, they're like baffled. Like, why are they doing it again? Why they just got it? Why are they doing it again? Well, because we want to get this angle and that angle and this angle. And if you don't get all the right angles, then when you cut it, it doesn't feel cinematic. And so to have the movie feel, and that's the difference between a film, even though we're not filming on film, Tarantino still does. He's one of the few people that still actually uses film to film on. You're creating this digitally, but when you edit and you post produce and you include the music and the way it flows and the way it cuts, it has to have a certain rhythm. The scene almost dances. The scene dances. And when Kimberly talks about the Indian weddings, my daughter, one of her favorite movies when she was little was one of the Indian movies, one of the big famous ones. I don't remember the name of it offhand. One of the big famous ones where there are a lot of dance numbers, right? And they all have dance, right? But this was one of the big ones, and she had the video and she watched it all over and over again. She loved this movie, right? And in that film, now I'm not an expert at Indian movies. I haven't watched a lot of them, but I know in that movie, because I would watch with her, the cutting back and forth is insane. If you notice that, it's like when they get in those dance numbers, they cut over here and cut over there and cut over there and cut over there. It's like somebody took a lot of time to make sure that they got all the angles in the right way to make that dance work. And these chanting scenes, and eventually I was able to direct music scenes. By this time, I kind of learned how to do it through directing those chants, because it is almost a song in how it is filmed. And so, yeah, you get a feeling of once you see all the angles, like, okay, we're done now. Now we can move on. Where it's not anything logical. And then later, when you see it, when you see your options, you see why you did it a certain way. And yeah, it's a feeling. It's not when you're in the moment, it's not a conscious like process. It's more just you're feeling if you have it or you don't have it. And then you go, and you have to trust that feeling, because you can't see everything. You can't see everything. You have to kind of take a step back and kind of feel it happen. And then if something's off, that's when we got to go again. Something went wrong. And if you have more time, then you can watch the, what you shot, and you can go back in. And this is the difference between working with the bigger budgets and working with the lower budgets. We don't have the budget to go in and take 3 days to shoot to shoot one scene. And with the bigger budget movies, they take days and they take a week to shoot 1 minute.
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off. You have to go and you got to trust and move on.
Tell me, Henning, how do you select music for your films, and at what point you finalize your decision?
Well, thank you for asking that, Alexander. Music is a huge part of our films. In the three movies that we're releasing in the next 90 days have at least 60 songs in them. It's absolutely crazy how much music is in these movies. And a lot of times, some of the music we produce ourselves, some of the music we license, and some of the music comes from the catalog of our music director, Andrew Lane. And we're just so fortunate to have him. He's got 14 platinum records, and he's a genius music producer, and he's my very close friend, one of my closest friends in the world, right? So I'm fortunate to have that asset, right? And so sometimes when I'm writing the script, I know the music. When I'm writing the scene, I know the music. And I actually write it into the script. And I relate it to a song that I know, because I'm a big music fan, even though I'm not a musician. And I don't perform music. I'm a huge fan of music, and I'm a huge fan of all different styles of music. And that helps me also. I love classical music as much as I love heavy metal music, believe it or not. I mean, I'm talking about like heavy metal music, right? And everything in between. So when I'm writing the scene, I'll write the song that goes there and with the scene. And that happens while I'm writing it. And then while I'm shooting it, I can feel that song playing. And then by the time we get there, then Andrew and I have already talked about what actual song is going to go. We don't use the song that I was thinking of. There are reasons for that. You can't, the licensing and whatnot, but also sometimes you want to use something new. You don't want to use.
When people talking about heavy metal music, heavy metals, they mean like gold, platinum, like heavy metals, so like what it is exactly.
Heavy metal is like a heavy guitar, heavy loud guitar. Heavy loud guitar, yeah.
No gold, no platinum.
No, not the gold and platinum. The heavy loud guitar. And
I see.
There's a time and place for that as well. So to finish that thought, Alexander, is that the music happens pretty much as we're filming the scene. Then we're starting to formulate the music, and a lot of our actors are musicians. They're music artists. Some of them are pretty big, right? So when we cast for the roles, we'll also ask them to collaborate on music a lot of the times on the song, and they're singing the song in their scenes. So it becomes like the actor takes ownership of the scene, like it's their movie because it's their song and they're the actor, like it's their. And you see that a lot. You'll see it in Destinova at the end when Aviva, who's a very talented actress and musician, and I wrote the lyrics to the song, and we co-wrote the Destinova song together. And she takes ownership of that. Oh, she's showing another clip here. She takes ownership of that scene, like it's her own. It's her movie. And so by doing that, you create a lot more emotion that you wouldn't. Anything? You create a lot more emotion that you wouldn't have otherwise. So what are you showing here, Kimberly?
Oh, just goofing off behind the scenes, but not goofing off. I mean, you're very, very. Everyone's very serious. They take but when we have a moment for a break, I got a lot of short video clips, but. And there he is with his shirt. I've got tons and tons of photos. I haven't uploaded them all. But to kind of give you a sense of, it's all serious and work, but there's a lot of fun too. I'm sorry. Keep going.
That's okay. No, it is fun. I'm glad to see those pictures that I haven't seen before. That was me basically abusing my son. That was one of the pictures where he's on the ground. I was probably threw him down on the ground. They like to wrestle. That's their big thing. So yeah, the music is a huge part, and then the songs that then once you get in editing and get in post, then you pick the rest of the songs to transition into and out of the scenes. And we do have every type of music you can think of in our movies. We have classical music, we have opera, we have classic R&B, we have hip hop music, pop music, rock and roll music, but our films are primarily, these first several films are primarily young adult audience. So you'll hear a lot of fast guitars, a lot of pop music, and the lyrics of the songs that we do ourselves. I write the lyrics, then the lyrics relate back to the story. And even some of the songs, the lyrics are pulled directly from the book that the movies are based on. And so if you're following the series, like, you appreciate the lyrics and what the actors, the characters are saying, and it's always like meaningful. Like, there's always two ways to go. I can go this way, I can go that way. Here's how I'm behaving. Here's my decision I need to make. And they're very like deep meaning. But at the same time, if you're not really into the deep meaning, you can just enjoy that it's a cool, fun song. And I'm really proud of the musicians and the music and the fact that our actors really are collaborating on making the scenes really special. And because they're the ones, they're helping to compose the music, they're performing. Sometimes they're performing in the actual movie. Sometimes the song is playing while they're acting. And so it is a really cool way to do it. And as Kimberly said, it's a very fun process, even though, like, because we have to have a certain amount of result within a certain period of time, and we're very focused on what we're doing, and there's very little goofing around, but it's a collaborative and fun process. I guess it's similar to chess. You know, you're concentrating, you're serious, and there's no joking around. You got to focus on what you're doing, but it's fun because you're. You know.
It is. I still believe that chess has to be more fun. I'm not a big fan of analyzing to depth for hours to find that this movie is a little bit better than that movie. Oh my God!
That's what Darius does. You got to talk to him. He takes forever. Darius.
I just like the process. It's like when you play. Let's say you play a blackjack. Okay, so you got a hand, you won the hand, or you lost hand. That's it. The end of story. You know, like. I like the process, but you know, about coming back to music and movies, I'm really fascinated with many occasions the music itself, which was specifically composed for that particular movie, it sort of became it's got life on its own. It was so beautiful, and it's so organically still part of the movie. Or if you take a movie, say, Once Upon a Time in America, you remember? Ennio Morricone music. And that music is, oh my God, it's so fantastic movie. I can listen to, so I remember I was watching that movie and I didn't even watch on the screen. I was just listening to the music.
Just listening.
It was so beautiful.
That's a classic with the Italian director. That was a classic.
Ennio Morricone, and also his other movies like if you remember the movie Cinema Paradiso. Remember that one, Cinema Paradiso? There's always beautiful music. Also became on its own, and
that's when again, and I'm glad you brought that up, Alexander. And that's one of my favorites of all time. Once Upon a Time in America is one of my favorites, and because of the creativity that you can engage in with the music. The music becomes not only a storytelling tool, but also the music, as you said, the music takes a life of its own. Out and leaves the movie and becomes its own thing.
I can even suggest it a little bit further. Without that music, what is this movie about? This is about Jewish gangsters.
Jewish gangsters, yeah.
What's the big deal about it? With the
Can
music.
you ever imagine a movie without the music, though, or the sounds? You know, you wouldn't have that anticipation build up. That's what music does, and it builds you. It relates. You know, it moves you.
Also, there is another very interesting example. Now we are still talking about music which was specifically composed for this specific particular movie.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you like classical music as well, and of course you probably know the music of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. Specifically, if you remember the finale of Passion by St. Matthew. Now, what's interesting about that, I was telling my daughter and my grandchildren about that, the Bach and that particular piece. And they say, yeah, okay, that's good music, but who needs this music? And whenever you can ever even hear that music. And I started to listen. That's not fair. It cannot be. And you know what? One of my favorite of all time is the movie Casino.
Casino, sure.
Yeah, the Sharon Stone. Okay, yep. So once I was watching about a few months ago, I was watching this movie. And remember the finale of the movie when all these casinos are being all trashed and the new casinos came in town, the corporations and so on. That's where you hear St. Matthew's.
You get the, wow.
That's where it is. And it's so beautiful. And I was impressed. Oh my God, they used that music in this movie. I couldn't believe it. Yes, it was.
Yeah. You know what we should do next time, Kimberly? If you guys give me a chance to prep, I can load some scenes up for you guys and show you. We can do we can do a whole music segment and show you how we use music in these different.
I'm loving that idea. I didn't prep very well today. I kind of grabbed a few clips and they're just not loading very well. But
you got all the home movies.
I got you've got them all. But you've got other movies coming out, and I love this talk about music. And if you get a chance, Sasha had a wonderful musician on his show last Saturday. He does a chess show, but he has wonderful musicians that come on his show as well. So just great performers from all over the world.
We played this anthem from the musical Chess. If you it's a beautiful piece of music.
And Sasha's playing with him. So this gentleman is over in Igor is in Russia, I think, and Sasha's in Canada, and they're playing a duet. It's
coronavirus thing.
Coronavirus symphony.
Yeah,
I was playing in my house, and he was in his house, and it's all came together.
We have new words. So is there any thought about putting masks on your actors and actresses now when you are doing the scenes?
Well, this is a touchy subject. If you've been on any of my Facebook's lives, you should probably go in there. You'll see exactly how I feel about it.
Okay.
Let's put it this way. What I tell people is, and I look at this situation from a unique perspective. I have a medical. My family has a medical background. My father was a doctor. My mother was a nurse. My cousins are doctors. My sister worked in a hospital for 20 years. And I've been around medicine and health since I'm a little kid. And I have that perspective. Working, as a public speaker for all those years, and then focusing the past 5 years on youth mentorship and coaching. I've worked with many psychologists, psychiatrists, and my focus is more on the mental health the past several years. And so my concern is the mental strains, the mental health strains that this situation that we found ourselves in the past couple of months has caused. So I approach it from that perspective, and I tell people, hey, look, if you're sick, go see your doctor, and don't come to the set if you're sick. Okay, just don't come around. All right.
Common sense.
Yeah, it's common sense. If you're not sick, then I'm not sick. You're not sick. Then let's get back to what we are doing. If you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, then do it. There also are medical reasons for not wearing a mask, or if you wear a mask, you have to maintain a mask in a certain way for it not to become a bacteria trap. And there's negatives, and you just have to be smart. If you're going to wear a mask, wear it properly. I don't wear a mask, and I will not wear a mask because I'm not sick. I promise I'm not going to get you sick. I'm not going to sneeze on you. I'm not going to cough on you, right? And we have to, we can't, why do people who drive cars, why don't they wear helmets, right? I'm sure you could save lives if you were wearing a helmet, and if everyone who drive a car was wearing a helmet. You could probably save more lives if you ban cars. You can save lives, right? There's all kinds of things you could do to save lives. And I tell these stores that are, in certain places they're requiring it, and I tell them, hey, you care so much about health, why don't you stop selling cigarettes?
CVS did. CVS. I love CVS because they did that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you,
Exactly.
you're a pharmacy. It's supposed to be a health place of health, and you're selling cigarettes. And I'm not saying it's bad for CVS or anyone to sell cigarettes. I'm not saying.
But they stopped. They did, like you said, they'd be like, no, we're not going to sell this anymore. So
yeah. So my point is that if you here's a question to ask yourself. Here's a question. Do you really believe in health? Do you I'm not asking, it's a rhetorical question, obviously, but this is a question that we should all be at. Do I really believe in health? And if I do, what are the things that I'm doing to maintain my health? And if I really believe in health, then I should not just care about one issue. I should have the holistic approach and care about these other things as well. And so the mental side of things, I think it's harmful for people to take things to the extreme and to get out of their routines too dramatically. And so that's how I feel. So on set, we're very, very careful. And again, you also want to be conscientious of the rules, because whether you like it or not, when there's a law implemented, then you have to be very careful to follow the rules. But at the same time, you have to speak out against things that you feel are not proper. And the way you speak out, there's ways to communicate to the health board, there's ways to communicate to the politicians. There's forums like this where you can speak your mind and people are allowed to speak freely. You encourage people, and there's things that you can do, but you have to also be careful that, that we have insurance regulations, guidelines that we need to follow when we're shooting movies. We have people's health concerns. People are concerned. We want to make sure that we are working within the rules, but there are certain things that we just let people kind of be smart and do their own thing. And as restrictions and regulations lighten up, we won't even really need to talk about this too much. Like, common sense will prevail. But in the meantime, you can't shoot a love scene with two people wearing masks.
No, actually, I talked about that the other day. It was kind of funny. We're talking about, we're doing Zoom love scenes, and it's kind of funny. But we did. Somebody wrote a skit about falling in love on Zoom. But here's the thing: data shows everything, Henning, and this is what we talk about on the show. We're about facts, not fear. Okay, so because fear can drive so many things in the wrong way. And as you said, there's a right way to wear a mask and a wrong way. And that's one of the reasons why we've had doctors on our show share this, because there's no reason to wear it if you're not going to do it right. But fact is that Hong Kong did not shut down. They used common sense. All right. Of course, everybody says, well, they enforced it and they fined you if you, but they used common sense. They were transparent about what this is and what can happen. If you're sick, stay home. If you're sick, get tested. If you're tested positive, stay home. But they used the common sense thing. They had 4 deaths. 4 deaths.
Wow.
December. Okay. Infectious rates were very low. Now they had a spike in the infectious rates, but they know how to manage it. They tracked it from day one. The minute somebody got sick, they traced who have you been with, and they tagged. 4 deaths. Come on, people. But they never stopped operating. They went to work. All right. But they used common sense. Restaurants, 2 people at a table. If you're sick, stay home. They scanned everybody for fever, even though that's usually too late. You're usually 2 weeks in if you've got a fever because you don't show symptoms for 2 weeks, but they traced it.
Right.
So common sense, we would have never had to shut down. So I agree with you 100%. I agree.
Yeah. And you're right, Kimberly. You just have to research the facts. And a lot of times we react to things emotionally. And when you react emotionally, then you need to check that, because that can take the next level of reaction emotionally, and then you forget even what the facts were, right? So
Thank you. Well, I mean, thank you. So much common sense from you.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. I mean,
well, I told the bubble yum story on the Facebook Live. I'll tell you guys real quick the bubble yum story. When I was in fifth grade, bubble yum came out. The bubble gum, the really soft kind. That was before then. You're chewing bubble gum was like chewing a rock, right?
Yeah.
And unless you were, and I was a baseball player, as you guys know. So unless you're going to chew tobacco, and I was 10 years old, 11 years old, I'm not going to chew tobacco, and I probably didn't want to chew tobacco. So you chew gum. And then there was bubblegum blowing contests. But bubblegum was a big part of baseball, believe it or not, right? And when bubble yum came out, man, this was so good because you had this soft gum and you got all these huge bubbles. And it was great. So I took my allowance, my whole allowance, my $5, and I bought a case of bubble yum. I had a big case like this, right? So I'd have plenty for me, plenty for my friends. And there was a rumor, Kimberly, that bubble yum that was going around the school, that bubble yum had spider eggs.
oh yeah.
I don't know if you ever remember.
Yes.
There was a rumor that bubble yum, that's how it was so soft, is because it had spider eggs. And I got so freaked out. And I don't want to tell anyone that I bought a whole case of bubble yum because I know they would all, think I was going to have spider eggs coming from my ears. Right? So I was so scared. I took my bubble yum and I threw it in the trash. I threw it away. And I never had that bubble yum. And then I found out later it was just a rumor.
Oh no!
Right. So I tell people, look, there's no spider eggs in the bubble yum. Okay. If I would have gotten the facts, I would have been able to keep my great bubble yum, no spider eggs.
But you
and
panicked.
And Bubblicious came out. Bubblicious Grape came out, and I just went on that.
You know,
It was all before the site factchecker.com became when you can check every rumor.
They didn't have that.
we didn't have Google back then. We had Webster Dictionary that was 20 years old, and you dusted it off. But
Your encyclopedia, right? That's how the new version comes out.
Gum was still a hard thing in there. So no, the gum was as hard as the dictionary. But, now we have.
So we have in India we have a censor board, and whenever there's a smoking scene in India or something which is not appropriate for some particular audience, we put a disclaimer on the movie right away.
Really?
We have the censor board in Hollywood as well. If something which is out of the box for that audience, then there's a disclaimer on the movie.
I don't know, do we?
Well, here's what we do, and again, I'm glad you're bringing that up because it's a topic of conversation. Our films are for young adults, and so we try to keep them PG-13, and PG-13 over here means pretty much a 13-year-old, 14-year-old. It's okay. It's not going to do any harm for them in terms of, and our films are because of language. It's not for other reasons. It's because of language. The language is harsh at times, and the reason is that we're telling historical factual stories. So if you want to be true to the facts, then you have to have that type of dialogue and that type of exposure. But in the original versions of the screenplay, there was we included things that we took out along the way. And we took in things like cigarette smoking and even alcohol use for teenagers. We took them out, and I had to give it a lot of thought because you want to keep things authentic, but at the same time, do you really need it? Do you really need it to tell the story, or are there other things that you can do creatively to show the grittiness of a situation without showing these kids smoking and drinking and doing drugs and even having sex, So we took and it was tough because you want to one of the piece of advice I had from one of my mentors and I think you did meet Ken Levine, Kimberly, who's got
I have photos of him, yes.
Who's got 5 Emmys, and then his business partner, and he's an old school news guy, CNN type of guy that is like, he's like a stoic state figure, and he's been my mentor for 5 years since we started this project. And he and his business partner, they made sure that that I learned one thing at the beginning, and they said, look, these stories this is your script, this is your movie, and don't let anyone change. If you're going to change something, make it something that you want to change. Don't change it because somebody else is saying this is how it needs to be. Always keep that thought process in mind. And when it came time to making adjustments based on that, and again, I had to ask myself, is this really important to tell the story? And it wasn't important to tell the story. And so, but what I did was I said, every time I eliminate something that's a sign of the times, I'm going to replace it with something else that's a sign of the times. And I had fun replacing, and the language was a lot harsher early on. The language was more Scorsese-esque or Tarantino-esque at the beginning. And then I took a lot of that language out and replaced it with unique words, some of which I just made up that sound bad and raunchy, but really aren't. So the kids could have fun with these new words. And so we did that. That's why sometimes you hear words in my movies that just don't make any sense. And it's because we switched them out, right? Yeah. And so the censors aren't going to have a problem with it. As far as the cigarette smoking, we eliminated just about all of it. There's one scene in all of these 6 movies now that we've completed. Only one scene, I think, that has anyone smoking. There are 2 scenes out of 6 movies, which is, and originally, because I was a chain smoker after I had my accident, and then I've got my depression, I chain smoked cigarettes for 5 years. I chain smoked Marlboro Reds. I smoked you would not see me without a cigarette in my mouth. And I was
you still smoke cigars?
I smoked cigars until my daughter made me quit cigars too. So that's a whole nother story. That was later.
I still do.
Okay. Yeah. And again, just to Ankit's point and to the idea of the censorship situation, if you originally there was smoking, and then eventually the kid quits smoking because he gets smart, and so there's a reason he was smoking, then he stopped smoking. Yeah. It wasn't that we tried to incorporate that, so we took all of that out because it was going to give the wrong idea to kids to start picking up cigarettes, which is the absolute worst habit that a kid could do. Well, there's worse habits, but it's pretty bad. So we took all that out. So my point in going kind of round the bend here is that for filmmakers, there are ways you have to know your audience, and we're about mentorship and consciousness and helping and making the right choices. But at the same time, we want it to be authentic, and we want the kids to think it's not soft. It's got to be real. So that's when we got creative with the language. We got creative with the cars. I said, man, let's get some cool cars in here so the kids can you got to give them something to love. So we have all kind of really amazing cars in our movies that kids love. The style, we made the girls gave them extra fashion. We made the guys extra tough and extra gritty. And so you can do things that can kind of compensate for that. And I'm also very proud that we don't have anyone you almost don't even realize it throughout the whole movie. None of these people are drinking alcohol. Mm-hmm. And so you never will see somebody. Again, there's one scene that is in the crime that the criminals are, they're drinking and they're smoking and they're doing all things, right? So, but the main characters, they never drink alcohol. Once they're a little older, maybe they're having a glass of wine or something, but it's not, normally you think high school movie, young adult movie, you're going to see debauchery everywhere, right? And drinking and spring break and women everywhere doing crazy things, right? Guys doing, crazy things to women. And we don't have any of that. And we did that consciously because we wanted to be able to tell the story a different way. But at the same time, we really give it to the audience in other ways so you get creative. And that helps with the creative process, and it makes the movie stand out. Like, wow, you don't realize it, but man, these kids are not. There's a party, but they're not. There's nobody with a beer funnel or the beer pong. You don't see any of that. So you're like, wow, in the world. And even in the rated R versions that are coming, The more young adult versions we have, it's mostly for language. It's mostly for language, like because the language really punches. But we try to stay away from the things that are not necessary, that are going to give people the wrong idea. There's Ken Levine. There he is.
Why is it all messed up? It's not very good. Let's see.
It's a little wackadoodle.
Oh, wackadoodle. Why did it do that?
Our faces are mangled.
I know. That's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, so that was Ken, and so
That's Ken.
and they're actually Ken and Michael are actually the ones that said, "Man, are you writing are you writing an advertisement for Marlboro?" That's what when they read the first versions of the script, because the script called for he takes a drag of a cigarette, he put the cigarette down, he stomps it out. There's an ashtray, right? It was all over the thing because. And he said, "Do you really need that?" And then I went back and I rewrote it. So
he's really brilliant. He is and so sweet, very, very kind. I need to call him. Gosh,
you would.
Well, but he told me to. Things have been crazy. Things just kept getting crazier. But that's no reason not to call somebody who.
Yeah, he's heavily involved. He's heavily involved in all our new stuff, and we had the film festival run that kind of went sideways. He was heavily involved in that, in helping us to get the Street Chase film ready for the festivals and whatnot. So he'd appreciate a call from me. He's heavily involved with us.
And your team still stays consistent. When I was on the call, I saw a lot of people I recognized. So that's a good sign. That is a very good sign.
I have the people I have been with me for years. And Barbara's been with me for 15 years. Doc's been with me for 20 years. Jeff's been with me for 10 years. I'm sorry?
Corey, no.
Yeah, Corey's since Sundance. A lot of the tribe kind of came on board at the Sundance Film Festival and's been with us ever since. So, it's having that loyal team and having loyalty to each other and everyone, doing their jobs. Here's what it makes for, Kimberly. It makes for a very collaborative process, and it makes it so easy for me to create stuff, because I can create and I can hand it off, and people get the job done. So yeah, we have our same team. That's our same producer team since the beginning on all of our films. Drew's been with me since the beginning on all the movies. He's been music director on all the films, and a lot of these actors have been with me now some of them have been with me for 3 or 4 years, because they keep coming back with different roles, and then they do a voiceover here, and we're all become friends. And so
I'll tell you where you guys got me the food. You invited me to dinner at your place. Oh my gosh.
At Sundance?
Family. Yeah. Remember when we were in Sundance?
Yeah, we were cooking.
Your house, and we like the family of food. Okay. So the whole family comes in, everybody's talking, everybody grabs a skillet, somebody starts peeling potatoes, and I'm chopping up cheese and making cheese platters for
She
snacks.
was cooking too. I said, "Kimberly, what are you doing? You're a guest." "No, I'm cooking too."
Yeah, you just become family with Henning, right? Henning goes, who put her to work? I'm like family. So, we're putting together cheese platters, and it's like a house full of people, and people just kept coming in, and the food just kept going out. And
we had 60 people with us. We brought 60 people with us to Sunday.
It was like I just jumped into a family. I just met Henning that day, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember that we had? I don't know, how long did we sit and talk? It was
we talked for a while at the screening. Yeah, that was cool.
And then you left your award, your bag, and I stayed an extra day, but it was beautiful. Just the family.
Yeah,
that's what I enjoyed. But Henning does things different. I'm just telling you. I've worked with directors. But Nick and I are the same way, right? We rent a house. Everybody's like a family, but not every director and producer group is like this. And trust me, I know. It's just. It doesn't happen this way.
Well, but at Sundance, thank you, Kimberly. At Sundance, we had 60 people there. We had 4 houses, and people were like, so it was like camping. People were sleeping in sleeping bags because people just kept coming. We didn't want to say no, don't come, right? and and it's expensive to do it. So you guys have, you might sleep on the floor, you sleep on the couch, you sleep on a lounge chair, and then and then every night we would cook. Every night we go to somebody's house and cook a bit, and then talk about what happened. So we do a lot of that, Kimberly. The people, and again, this is partially for Ankit, who's getting to know us, and Alexander. But we have, the way we do it, it is different, but everybody's interested in the same type of film to produce, in the same type of movie. Everyone is like on side. This is what I want to be involved with, these types of films, these types of messages. And by doing it that way, you create a tribe. And I'm so proud of the films because of that collaborative effort. You won't see anything like this on a movie screen, because all those relationships and all those assets you bring to the table, it shows on a screen, and it shows in the music, it shows in the editing, it shows in the acting, and all the people that are involved behind the scenes, to make the thing go. There's a couple scenes in Destinova where I play the motivational speaker character.
I got that.
I got to deliver. You were there for that, right?
Yeah, I got it on video. I'll get it up, or you can bring them next time.
Next time, I'll show you some clips, man. I'll show you the final ones. I'll show you the good stuff.
Yeah. They're beautiful, but
yeah,
there's more love behind the scenes at Henning's plays and on his sets. Then it does represent itself in the scenes, but there's more love behind. I'm just telling
you. Well, you guys have some of the clips also. Some of the shows we did, the behind the scenes shows. Then you guys have some of those. We'll get it ready for next time.
We should do a show behind the scenes with Henning, and we can have all the behind.
He sent us clips.
You guys have it. You guys have a lot of it. We have.
Lynn sent them, so we just need to sit down and go over them. Things grew faster than what we could manage for a while here, but you know how that goes. So,
and Henning, I would like to know. I mean, when you talk about music is the essence of the movie, especially in India and Hollywood also. I mean, people do a lot of great music, but how important is the background music while doing a movie? Because I think background music. The
background music.
Background music,
yeah, very important.
Movie. Because this is different from the music you do it for songs.
Yeah. It's very important, and it goes back to what Kimberly had mentioned about the feeling that you're giving somebody with the music, and we score very little of the music to the scenes. In other words, when you score it, you're writing it for the scene. I like to use songs that actually exist and music that exists to transition into different scenes and to set the tone for different scenes. It's like when Alexander saw the casino transition montage in the movie Casino. There was an actual song that it wasn't scored. It was an actual song that went with the scene. So I like to do a lot of that. A lot of when you hear a song in the background, it's setting the tone for that scene. And even the transition or background music is, and again, I do it very differently. You won't see in young adult genre movies, you won't see classical jazz or hear classical jazz music or classic R&B or classical music or opera. There's a great scene, one of my favorite scenes in Rebelistic, where an opera number opens up the scene with the mobsters, and it's just shocking because you just don't expect it, but it's almost like it was written for that particular transition. And it's a song that one of Drew's artists created years ago, and I heard it and I said, we got to use this. He says, are you sure you want to use that song? I said, watch how we do it.
You know who used music very smartly? Woody Allen.
Woody Allen, of course.
He used normally jazz standards most of the times, but they were so cleverly put into the story.
Absolutely. You look at, and again, the directors that we all admire and the movies that we admire, the music, a lot of times the music was something that you remember most from those movies. Woody Allen was a master at that. Still does. He's still doing great work. And Scorsese and Tarantino and Coppola from The Godfather, if you remember all The Godfather, those were scored classical. It's a different style, obviously. Those were scored and they had bigger budgets, and so it's a different style. But the way that Scorsese started to do it with the classic rock songs, and then Tarantino started with the kind of the offbeat, quirky type of songs, and bringing back a lot of the music from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Tarantino was really good at that. Woody Allen was more of the jazz, the classic jazz, and a lot of his movies do that. You know who else was great at that earlier on? Spike Lee did a fantastic job with that. Do the Right Thing, if you remember that. Mo Better Blues. The Malcolm X movie, which is a 3.5 hour. If you haven't seen that, that's like with Denzel Washington, and the music and the dance numbers. That is worthy of a Bollywood. The couple of dance numbers at the beginning of Malcolm X are worthy of Bollywood. I mean, they're elaborate. And so, yeah, music is a huge part of these films that we all love. And with the Dirt Merchants film series, we just hope that we are doing it in a way that's unique and that people really like it, and using more of a variety, but remembering our audience. We always have to give them that we always have to give these teenagers and these young adults the angst, the music that feeds their young angst and their coming of age bravado. So a lot of it is in your face. Like all of a sudden you'll hear like a really tough track, and then we'll blend it with something else so that the rest of us don't go crazy. And also give them a break. Yeah. Give their brains a break from just the one style. Get them exposed to different styles, and then you can really bring people's emotions up and down if you do it right. And hopefully, people appreciate that. That's
exciting. I can't wait. I'm going to come watch you do another movie.
Well, let's do this. We're at our time, but here's what I would love to do. I would love to do this again, and you guys just tell me when is good, and let's show some clips, some behind the scenes clips, and let's show some from the films, because we've got them ready, and it'll be get the popcorn out. Yeah, let's do a movie.
Let's do it. Let's do a movie watch.
Let's do a movie watch. I encourage you all also to be on Wednesday. We're doing we're showing a new short film, which is apropos. It's about health, and it's called America Health Yeah. We're going to screen that on Wednesday at 6 p.m. California time on Zoom.
So 3 my time. Okay.
No, 6 it's ahead your time. 6 o'clock p.m. California time.
It'd be 9 my time. Okay.
Evening, yeah. So you're all invited, and you'll see some of our music artists come on. Drew will be there, and we'll screen this film. But the next time we do it on IBM TV, let's do where we got some clips. I'll send them over to Ankit. He can load them as we talk. And if you guys want to do that, I think it's interesting and okay, great. And definitely, Kimberly, you're going to be on set you could be on set if you're ready for An Hero, which is a suicide prevention film. And that's going to be June, July. But also we're going to start Metal Crush. Then we're starting the next feature film in the fall. Hopefully that's our goal, starting the fall. So
I'll definitely
and then Ankit, we got to figure out what our plan is. So he's got his own plan. I got to make sure I'm up to speed with his plan for our next in India.
Thank you so much.
Before you go, I'll tell you, I think your lucky number is 15, because I did some numerology, and I think that 15 suits you. Your name, Henning Morales, says 7 characters, and then there's this character in between, space, which counts 15.
Wow. Hey, thank you for looking that up. That is cool.
Yeah, so
I think we're a great team, right? We're a great team.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a calculation. I'll share it with you offline.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Ankit. Nice to meet you, Alexander. Kimberly, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Wow, Dirt Merchants. I just, when you hang out with Henning, you walk away feeling twice as good. So he's funny. He's wholesome. His boys are just as cute as ever, right? They're twins. What a handful. His oldest son, what a charmer. And he dresses up every day. He would come to the set dressed to the T. He came to the house that night, the first night I met him. He's got a daughter too. By the way, we're not going to downplay her. She's gorgeous. But he came to this dinner that night, and he's dressed in a suit. Everybody else is like relaxed, right? And he's dressed to the T. I'm like, who is this young man, right? And that's who he is. He's all about dress to impress. Be your best. He's a gentleman from head to toe. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm just like, where did this kid come from, right? And because it's rare to see nowadays, and very, very nice. And but I found out, he was learning how to fly planes, and then I bumped into him again when Henning was filming, and there he was acting. Quite the interesting family. And it was fun to be on the set with the twins. I have to say.
He's a great guy. I think he's very humble, and he's very intelligent, and he knows what he wants to do, and he knows his tribe, and that's more important, because if you know your audience, you are sorted. You just have to redo a lot of things again and again to entertain your audience. I mean,
well, and everything for him has, and I shouldn't say everything, I shouldn't speak for Henning, but he's got great missions, right?
Yeah.
He's really been about, preventing teen suicides. That has been his biggest thing. And I'm sure there's a story in there that I just sometimes don't crack into certain stories, because sometimes they're just too much. But this is his thing. He really wants to do things to help prevent them. So I'm all for that. There shouldn't be any teen suicides. Teens shouldn't be concerned about things like that. And that they should be out having fun, not worried about things to the point that they kill themselves. And the other, teens just have a lot on their plate nowadays. And I don't know, did you, I don't think you guys got to listen to the radio show that I was on last night. Did anyone catch that? So anyway, that was an honor. Mark, our buddy Mark Lee, had me on his show last night. And actually, he's going to beam back in this week and be on our show. But he continuously promotes us on his show. So I thank you, Mark, for watching. But his partner, he has a partner that he works with. His name is Dean, and I want him on our show because his voice is amazing. Oh my gosh, it's better than music. When he talks and intros people, it's like music, and you just have to hear it. So anyway, but we were on the show last night, and some of the things that we were talking about is the impact that, and like Henning said, the mental state of mind that people are being plagued with because of COVID, right? They're alone. They might feel left out. Social media could be more damaging than good if it's not properly. I mean, I've had to even heard people say I've just had to cut it out because people started getting angry and hateful on social media. And teenagers can't cut that out. It's not very easy for them. My dad would always say, stop wearing it on your sleeve. I never knew what that meant, but stop wearing it on your sleeve. Okay, Dad, I'm not wearing sleeves. No, stop. Be a raincoat. Let it hit you and wash off. But teens, it's hard to do. Everything is about impressing and being part of the group. And teens can be very cliquish and mean. So last night we were talking on the radio show. There apparently was a teen that committed suicide because of COVID. Oh. And yeah, so. But the flip side of it is there was some good talk about all the good things that people were doing because, graduation, these young kids, they spent 12 years to have that commencement day. So we talked about the different things that some of the schools were doing to make sure that they had something. There was a student on the show who just graduated, I think, with his PhD. And get a real commencement like you build up for waiting, but they did it on Zoom, I guess, or something like Zoom, and they still had something very special. And he said that they're trying to plan that if things re-engage at Christmas, or after the holidays, that they'll do a special party or something that people can come back and do that. And I don't know about other universities, but in North Carolina, we have already elected not to engage back in people coming to classrooms for the most part. I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but and Ankit, India was supposed to have a meeting today. What was the outcome?
So the outcome is that the PM addressed the nation, and then we are going into the lockdown 4.0, which means this is the fourth lockdown, and that the details will be out soon. That how we are planning the lockdown, because the cases are spiking up, and also we have a stimulus for economic thing, and then that is for 10% of the GDP, which is around. Our GDP is around 2 trillion right now. So around some 10% of that amount will go to the economic activities, and that also will have more details, stage-wise, that which departments and which industrial and which kind of people, how much they will get it, and what are the ways to apply and things like that.
Right.
So that is what, and there are a lot of small announcements that you have to do this and that and all those things, because the time, as you say, we need to follow Korea and Hong Kong and other countries, that we need to restart it. So how we can do it in a much more planned atmosphere and environment, so that we don't have deaths anymore, and then we can still fight with Corona, and also take care of our economic activities, and also especially take care of our senior citizens and the kids, because that is more important. We have kids, we have people who are above 60, so we have to make sure that they are also safe, and then we run the country with the bond, and also the PM talk about one world, one family. So it's all about taking everyone on the same platform and try to help each other, and so that we can just take care of that situation.
I think that's what we need to do, is we need to take a look at the data and see what worked. I also believe in the rapid test kits, even though they're maybe 80% accurate, and the swabbing is not 100% either. I think rapid test kits isolate and filters really fast. So we can isolate, and rapid test kits can determine whether somebody's had COVID and for how long.
Yeah.
So it actually can determine if you've had COVID for 10 days. By then you should be pretty much, you might still be contagious, but it can also test if you've ever had it. And, but again, just because you've had one COVID doesn't mean you're not going to catch another. Yeah. And I truly believe that it's our immunity. We're going to have to reboot our immunity, rebuild it. Limoncello works for me. Right? A little vitamin B12, that's our beer. No, but rebuild, and building immunity is about being happy. It's about the mental state of mind. It's about getting some sunshine, not cooping up in the house, but going outside when the weather is, even when the weather's not good. You know what they proved in the first influenza back in 1918? No, 1918. The first big influenza pandemic or epidemic. They proved that the people that were getting fresh air were recovering.
Oh.
Right? So the people who were poor and having to be treated in tents and left outside were actually recovering in the cold, like very, very cold, as opposed to the people who were in hospital rooms, who were not recovering and dying. And it took a very smart person to finally walk around and evaluate this, because you're dealing with this, you're not really thinking about all of that they realized it was the fresh air. It was literally the cold. That particular virus does not work well in cold. And they learned that bacteria doesn't work well in cold. So that's why our hospitals are freezing cold. Majority of the bacteria and viruses don't grow. And they learned that because the people were being treated in tents and outside. The poor people were. And so here they were at an advantage compared to the rich people.
But Kim, a lot of, I can't comment on behalf of any doctor, but what I have learned and what I've listened to doctors, that there are a lot of bacteria in the ICUs. So if someone is in the ICU. Somehow he's got admitted. So he's prone to a lot of bacteria and a lot of viruses because it stays forever, and there is no time when you clean up that ICU without patients. So I think that in hospitals as well, if we can maybe do some kind of lockdown where we can clean everything before we maybe I don't want, it's not possible for every week or something, but maybe in couple of months if we can do a lockdown and then we can clean everything and then we can restart the operations of an ICU again. I think that would make a lot of wonders because a lot of my family members have been admitted to ICUs and hospitals, and every time whenever we spoke to a doctor, he said that he's fine, but there is some virus which is happening. There's an infection and things like that. And we were surprised that you know everything. So how come that virus is there? I mean, so you need to do something, because then we realized that there is a lot of, because in an ICU, a lot of people are having different kinds of things, and then they share their. I mean, somehow they share the same room for so many days, and maybe they share some kind of medical thing in I mean tools as well. So that's how the virus travels from one place to the other.
You know, and no offense to hospitals, but they
Yeah.
tell you up front when you're in there that your odds of, if you're very, very sick, the longer you stay, the odds are you'll never go home.
Yeah.
And that's why they were shocked with me, because I'd been there 14 days. So, and I was put on a floor where people did not go home. They didn't have any faith that I would go home. So, and you're right. And the problem is that there are more diseases in a hospital. They prefer you going home. They prefer fixing you real quick and sending you home. That's what they prefer, because every time they put an IV in you, that's a port for a disease. A lot of people don't know that. And so every time they poked me, and they had to poke me a lot because they couldn't find my veins. So I became a pincushion for a very long time. I had no idea. I was bruised really, really bad. They should have right off the bat just put a port in me, but they didn't. But every time they stick you, you become an open port for any of the diseases floating around. That's the reason why they're cold. The hospitals are very, very cold, because most bacteria and most diseases will not continue to mutate in that cold area. Now, this particular one will. And I feel like this is deja vu, because I know I just said this, but I feel like I dreamed this a long time ago. But unfortunately, COVID mutates in cold. Now, was this intentionally done because they know that we keep our hospitals cold? We don't know. I find it odd that out of all the viruses and all of the diseases we have in the whole world, that this one mutates in cold. Come on, people. Shia! Oh my gosh!
How are you? Thank you so much. I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties.
Don't worry, I've been in and out all day. Beautiful woman.
I know.
Hugs. Yeah.
Virtual hug.
People, this is one of the most beautiful women in LA. Love her. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing well out here in Los Angeles. How are you all doing today?
Cold.
Cold. Okay. Bundle up.
It's just cold in North Carolina now, for whatever reason. So much for global warming, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. LA's been really beautiful out. So, you know, the walks that we can take and the hikes and everything. It's really beautiful out. So that's the one lovely thing about this time, is that the weather's been actually really nice. Yeah.
Well, it cleaned up. Everybody keeps talking about how beautiful the skies are. I mean, you guys just suffer a lot in California. You have the fires and just so many other things that go on. I'm certain this has been a good reprieve just for nature in itself.
Oh, absolutely. I think as soon as the lockdown began, you can notice right away within the first week that the skies were just so clear and beautiful. We just had a week of rain back in March, and yeah, it was a nice reset for nature.
A week of rain, that's big.
Yeah. It was a big deal.
So share with my friends and I guess Sasha got beamed out, but share with us and our family out in the world who you are and what you're doing.
Sure. My name is Shia Luna. I'm a singer-songwriter and actress, and I also do various philanthropic projects giving back. I work with the Los Angeles Police Museum, and I do their youth outreach there with local LA inner city kids that are at risk. And that's me in a huge nutshell, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the big shell. But
The big shell.
yeah, but she sings. Her voice is just amazing, and I really, really want to get you on singing live with us sometime soon. If not even today, just if you want to just do a song, we're open to that kind of stuff. This is Celebrity Tuesday. We have all kinds of producers that come in and out. We had a famous celebrity from India today. He used to be a cricket player, injured, and then became a famous actor. So this is what we do. It's interesting. A lot of actresses and actors are singers.
Yeah. So they're performers basically. So I think she froze out of it. Yeah.
That's okay. We go through that.
It's fine, yeah.
She's
So
beautiful. She is just so naturally beautiful.
There I am. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back again.
Yes. So we have these little sign languages that Edkin and I have come up with because we're global, right?
Right.
We're all over the world. So, we want to unite.
I love that.
And then as one community,
one world,
one
community.
and we love each other. This means love. I got this from David Copperfield. And then, namaste or many blessings. So that's it. That's our sign language that we try to just share people. We say that we're going to do this instead of hugging each other, but I've learned something myself. One of our boys swung by to see us. We haven't seen anyone in 2 to 3 months. And just stopped by the house. And what do I do? Hi!
Of course. It's natural. Yeah. That's who we are as humans. We want that comfort and that love. So
So share a little bit of what you're doing right now. I mean, are you acting? Are you doing TV shows?
Yeah, I'm currently on a series called Age of the Living Dead on Amazon Prime. And so we have season 2 coming out over the summer. Really excited about that. And there are talks about a season 3. So that's been fun. I play an American soldier. It's a post-apocalyptic story. And there's some vampires in there. That's all I'll give away. But it's a fun show. It was the first series that I had ever booked. So I've just learned so much being on set with this crew and getting dialogue last minute, learning a scene at lunch and then going in and doing it. Because sometimes with TV, the writers are changing things up in that very moment to kind of contour the story a little bit and move things around. So you have to be really flexible, and TV's quick. I like it.
I love TV. Movies take too long for me, but and God love them, because without the movies, what would we be doing right now? So share a little bit about how you got into acting and music, because I know you do music, but share with us.
Yes. Music has always been my first love. I think I woke up and came out of the womb singing. I love music. I do. I'm so inspired. I love talking about it. I know you love music as well, Kim, and I've heard your voice. You're fantastic.
I'm not that great. No, I'm not. I'm a performer. I'm different. So, but go ahead.
Sure. So acting it's always that little bug has always been there inside of me since being a 5-year-old child and watching people act on TV and seeing stage shows. I did my first play in high school. I played Glinda the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz. So it's kind of like where it all began. It was the feeling inside, knowing that I wanted to tell stories and be a vessel for many stories throughout time until it's something I want to grow old with. I really, really do. I see myself just telling stories till the end.
Awesome.
So musical theater was my start.
Did you like to read a lot?
Here and there. I was more of a kind of like you, a performer. I was a bedroom mirror performer. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, that's me, right? I do TV so much better than acting, because acting, there's a lot of discipline to acting, a lot of training, because you got to remember your lines. You got to make sure you understand the other person's lines and everyone else's. If you got a whole bunch of people, not just the lines, but body positioning. I mean, explain all of this. How do you put all this together?
It's such a weird journey of self-awareness and then letting it all go, because we really want to portray humanity in its real moments and not have it seem, I don't know, for me, I love the realism of stories and being so raw and in them that it doesn't feel like showy, if that makes sense. Yeah.
You got to make it feel real.
Yeah. So I think that's why rehearsal is important, and doing all the work throughout time. Like I'm in an acting class every Thursday right now through Zoom, and just keeping the muscles loose and keeping the tongue sharp, just keeping the skills going. And that way, the next time I'm on set, it won't be so rusty. Let's hope.
Well, listen to you. I mean, classes, you're a professional and you're still taking classes.
Oh, I love class. You could say it's a bit like therapy too. And it's just so fun to do maybe types of material that I don't usually get to do. And I think it's fun to just kind of explore different types of writing, and I just have so much fun doing it.
So so how many years have you been acting?
I would say on television and film since 2016. That was when it really started kicking off, and I just kept going forward. And in the midst of that, music was always flowing. I was doing shows at House of Blues, The Mint, the Viper Room. Music's been a beautiful journey, and it never leaves me. The most monumental time was when I went to Uganda, Africa, with a project called Together We Are Strong. And it was a song to raise money to give back to their community at the Kabale Trinity Center. And we built a chicken farm, a well. We had, what else did we do? Yeah, sustainable chicken farm, additional music classes, and ongoing just funds for them to have good education there as well. So that was like the song that changed my life, I could say. And it's still doing work today. So through music, I love giving back. I love writing. I have, breakup songs to inspirational songs. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful avenue to have.
Well, music is just that element inside us that allows us to express a story where you feel. This is what I tell people. It's you can express a story the way you feel it. You write songs, you do the music part too, right? You just don't write the words. I mean, you play an instrument.
I do, yes. I play guitar and piano. I grew up playing the saxophone. Started that when I was 10. Yeah, now mostly piano and guitar. I have some new songs coming out that I've composed on the piano, and I just love picking up the guitar. I mean, you could be anywhere and grab a guitar. That's the beauty of an acoustic instrument like that.
It is, the guitar can do that. I think you went to Nashville last year. Am I correct? And
I did.
What did you think?
I absolutely loved it. Oh my gosh, what a melting pot of music. I mean, I felt like I was in this portal, and like just lyrics were coming down. I was not like doing voice notes on my phone, getting all these ideas, and wow, so much talent there.
Oh, it is. They've got a program or projects all over Nashville. That's what I like about it. It is like the music port. You're right. And they got writer rounds. Did you get to go do any of the writer rounds that they have there?
Yes, I went to Bluebird Cafe. That was my favorite. Yes. I mean, I was in tears. I was just blown away by these lyrics and the talent.
So we do. We have someone who was part of that, and she now does writer rounds on Sundays on IBM TV.
Amazing! Wow.
Yeah. So she just started it. She just started a cafe. She's also gonna be. I think the writer rounds are gonna move to another day. She still does the cafe on Sunday, but the writer rounds, they're fun. They're very, very engaging. And
okay, that sounds like something I'd like to do. That'd be fun.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to beam in like you're doing today. Beam in. We call this beaming in and beaming out. But beam in, check it out, see who's playing. Trying to give it a whirl just to see, because she's done I think she's been at the Bluebird.
Love that. Yeah, iconic. I also went to the listening room, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think when you went, Bobby's Idol Hour was gone. Bobby's Idol Hour, the world's famous bar, a little bitty hole in the wall bar. Everyone got their start. All of them. Loretta Lynn, everybody played there. And I've got videos of it before they tore the place down and pictures of people in there. But Red Solo Cup got its start there. I mean, it's just, and hated to see the building go, but I guess they felt it was time to tear it down and build a bigger building for music. But
yeah, that's tough. That's how I felt about House of Blues. That was such a special, iconic night, and it's not here anymore. So it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, right.
Sunset Boulevard.
So are you getting any music written while you're?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, this time has been really special. It's a nice time for me to catch up on some demos and songwriting and collaborations. But I did finish a song recently called "Thank You for All You Do," and I collaborated with the Goodness Tour. And there's a video online. I could even share it with you now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's all dedicated to the medical workers. Yeah. Are we shared, or can I send it to you?
I think we could share, but if you tell me, I'll pull it up because I think Ankit's having problems with his internet. So
okay.
Tell me where it's at.
So if you YouTube "Thank You for All You Do" by the Goodness Tour, it'll pop right up.
Sophia, have you been to India?
I have not, and it is on my dream list. I really want to go.
What is it?
There you go.
What's on your dream list?
To go to India.
Oh, so we're hopefully when all of this is over, we're going to plan this great tour and go visit everybody that's kind of been on our show from all over the world. And when I say all over the world, we've got Mexico, Singapore, Hong Kong. But let's get this video out and see what you have created. Hopefully I can do this without tearing down the internet here.
We're all learning here.
Well, I've had to become my own director, right? And Kid and I. But check out the beautiful woman there. Huh? You are so beautiful. So let's. You know what I forgot to do, Kid? I forgot to hit the audio. So let me fix that. Hold on, I'll fix it.
You can watch a little teaser of it. This is so Dana Walden, he wrote this song, and he's a fantastic songwriter, and I was just so honored to be on it. And Luke is also the other singer, and they have a whole tour, and they brought me on as their new member. So I'm kind of a new member of a band.
Wow.
And the Goodness Tour, they go all around the world and do mission trips and sing, and they do murals and just hang out with kids and bring light. And I'm so excited and honored to be a part of this group that, when this COVID-19 is over, we can get out there and visit some wonderful places.
I'll come.
Yeah. Yes.
Hold on. Let's get this played and see this beautiful sound.
Thank you for everything you do. Now the world is safe with everyone's help.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for all you do. There comes a time, and the time is now. Time is now. When everything is upside down. Who could have known? Who could have seen what devastation it would bring? But the blessing that shines through are the heroes just like you.
Vielen Dank für alles, was ihr tut.
We wanna thank you for all you do.
A heartfelt thank you for everything you all do.
Obrigada por tudo que vocês fazem.
Thank you for alles, what you do.
You don't know what you're gonna do
大変お世話になりありがとうございました。
until it happens to you.
Thank you for all you do.
Some will run, some will hide, some will stand tall side by side. for the ones who are in need. And you've chosen to take the lead. We want to thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
We want to thank you for all.
Merci pour tout ce que vous faites.
Grazie, grazie, grazie. We're gonna hold you. We want to thank you. And we really love you. We're gonna hold you. We want to thank you. And we're feeling the love. We like you. We're gonna hold you. We want to thank you. And we're feeling the love. We like you. We're gonna hold you. We want to thank you. And we're feeling the love. We like you. We're gonna hold you. We want to thank you. And we're feeling the love. We like you. We're gonna hold you. We want to thank you.
Thank you for all the selfless and brave work that you do.
We want to thank you.
谢谢你所做的一切。
You do. And as the sun brings another day, we all search for a way to make it through the tears. Even though we may have fear, it's in your strength we find. As we move from dark to light.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for taking the risk. Thank you. You're the top of our list. We want to thank you. We want to thank you for all you do.
Oh,
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you
for all that you do.
Thank you to all the nurses, doctors, medical staff, and first responders for all that you do.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for all you do.
Gracias por todo lo que haces.
Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for all you do.
Wow. That's beautiful. So that kind of sums it up, you know. How can you? I have to say I watched this the other day.
Oh, you did. Thank you for watching.
Somewhere I know because it made me cry, and I can feel it. I can feel it in your voices. But when you have all of these people get on there and just start saying thank you, and I remember I started crying. I'm like, this is the one that moves you, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like We Are the World, but you're saying thank you.
Right. In such a trying time, saying thank you is just having that positive outlook and, you know, living in gratitude that there is going to be a brighter day. And unfortunately, you know, we are losing people and there's so much hardship, but thank you for all that you do. It's a beautiful concept.
It was beautiful because they work the hardest. You know, everyone that's out there, they're the most I think a lot of people appreciate what they're doing, but there are so many skeptical people out there that are just making their lives miserable,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and sad because they put in so much effort. And you got all of these people that are, you know, oh, it's not real. They're just, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I had a physician on our show 2 weeks ago break down and start crying.
Yeah.
And his best friend contacts me and says, he's never cried, but we've known him for 30 years. He's never cried before. And I felt bad. I don't think I did anything to make him cry. We weren't talking about all that, but he was sharing his experience. Mm-hmm. And seeing some of the things that they have never seen before in their life, you know, in their career. And this song just resonates. I want to make it our theme song.
Please share, yes, and send it to anyone who needs a thank you, or feel free to share it. And this was our message. Yes, please.
I might, like, every time we want to thank a doctor, we're going to play that. Like when Dr. Sagu comes on, I'm going to play it.
Oh, I love it. That's wonderful.
So we have doctors from all over the world come on our show. I don't know if you're aware, but we're about facts, not fear, right? Because if you have the facts, there is no fear. And we can learn to appreciate what we need to be really doing. But we can also start thinking about how to react, right?
Right.
And from the very beginning, we were not shared the right facts. And that's why we just kind of went like this. The data shows everything. And this is what I tell people. There's no reason for us to not get back into work. We know that we have to build our immunity. That's what fights and how we can live with the diseases that we're going to be facing with in the future. It's about our better immunity. And we need to work together. And we need to be transparent. There's no reason for CDC and WHO to have any classified documentation. They are paid by the public. And so we just need transparency so we can get back to our lives. And so I thank you for taking the time to make that message, because it just shares the humbleness of who you are and your people and your what you're doing. It's just beautiful.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I was honored to be a part of it at this time. Just when the idea came up with Dana, I was blown away. And he asked me if I'd like to be on. I'm like, are you kidding? I wouldn't say no. And I don't even have to listen to it. I could already, just with that being called, thank you for all you do. That's what we need, more light right now.
We do. We need inspiration. We need people feeling appreciated, not tensed and everything. No, it's a beautiful song. We'll be playing it a lot. Let's get Dana on here and some of the people who made that music happen. Let's do a whole interview of everyone.
I would love that. Yeah, the Goodness Tour. I will definitely set that up.
And then we can start highlighting when your tour starts, and we'll follow you. You guys can dial in and say, hey, we're here. This is where we are. And we can film live.
I love it. Great. Awesome.
And also, do you think, Shia, we should, apart from thank you for all you do, you have done a great song. Can we do a song where we greet people not with shaking hands, but with different ways to greet?
That's
maybe
a good idea.
like this, maybe namaste, or maybe salute, or maybe wink of an eye, things like that. And that could be a global song for people, so that we will stay physically distant from each other, and then still be great in different ways of time. Because if we do it globally, so that every person, each and every country can connect.
That's beautiful.
Because I wanted to do an Indian version where we have namaste doing in different ways. But if we can do a global version where we can multiple ways to greet people during this lockdown, I think that would work, and I think you can do it.
All right, I'm up for the challenge. I think that's a great idea.
So the TV show you're on, what's it called again?
It's called Age of the Living Dead on Amazon Prime.
Age of the Living Dead. And she's also, you've been a part of a lot of other things, because when I Google you, you pop up in a lot of places, believe it or not.
Which hat was I wearing?
Right. You were Tala.
Oh, yes. I just wrapped a feature film in Oklahoma, and it's called As the Village Sleeps. I play Tala. And that's coming out later this year as well to streaming sites. I will keep you posted on that one. That's a fun thriller. There's some werewolves and games in there. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah. So
werewolves. I mean, vampires. You really.
I don't know. I was made for the apocalypse, apparently. So.
Well, but you're doing it, and let me share a little bit about this woman. She doesn't sit around waiting for things to come to her. She gets out there. She knocks on the door. We met at a Google tour, right?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And she was there helping someone get his song off the ground as well. So she doesn't sit around waiting for things to come to her. She goes out and makes it happen. And that's what you have to do in this industry, isn't it? Shia.
Definitely, yes. That was so wonderful meeting you that day. I was blown away by Miss Kimberly. Honestly, your words, your presence. I was like, this is someone I want to be around. and I want to know, I want to learn from. She's so beautiful. And I was honestly blown away meeting you. So I was so grateful for that day. But yes, shout out to my friend, Manny Fernandez. He was a keynote speaker that day.
Yes,
and
he was.
We had met on a TV show called World of Dance, where I was working as a coordinator. And I was, we got to talking, and he's always wanted to create some sort of inspirational content. And I'm like, well, that's what I love to do. And at the time I had a single out called Smoke Signals, which you could find online too. But oddly enough, I talked to him about creating a song, and I always feel like how you just gave me the challenge for the hello signals and the signs. I love collaborating. I love collaborating with people and their ideas. And so he wanted to have a song about the power of your mind. And I said, well, come down to the studio this weekend and let's write something. And he ended up getting on the mic and doing some wonderful inspirational speaking. And I think he thought it was a bit of a joke because he didn't know what I would do with these pieces of his voice. And so I ended up cutting it up and using it as the verses, and then I would sing over it. And then I just created this song called Mind, and I wrote a chorus to it, and it's a really unique piece of art.
It's beautiful. It is. And that's what music is art. But this is performing arts. If you listen to it, it is inspirational speaking mixed with music, almost like you would do a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need a visual. You don't need a video with it. It's you see what's happening in your mind when you hear it. Very artful done.
Very powerful. Yeah, put your headphones on nice and loud and listen to that in the morning. It's really powerful. During the creation of it, I was pumping up myself to just go about my day. And I'm just so blessed to be surrounded by people like you.
What did Manny think about that? Did he like it?
He did not expect anything like that. So he was just blown away he's like, you took my voice and you did that with it. He was blown away. He's actually, he's promoting it right now on his sites as well. And then I promote it on Spotify and iTunes. So if you look up Mind by Ari Human, that's another songwriting group I have called Ari Human. You'll find it.
Yes. And music, you can just Google her. She's everywhere. Got some great songs. Go to her Facebook. Sometimes she's singing live there.
I do. I love picking up the guitar and singing. I want to do that more, and then maybe join on one of the music groups.
And then what we'll do is love to have you on and doing some live music. We got Sunday. It's not quite open mic, but you're more than welcome to come and just, we've got slots that are open if you want to just come and just sing live.
I love it.
Well, what we want to do is just share that relaxing moment with people, right? Inspire that you don't have to be sitting at home alone. And we just started, that just evolved on a Sunday. We used to do talks all day, and and we have kids morning. We have kids come and little puppets, and
that's wonderful.
Migrate into music, live music. Grant Edmond from South Africa does all kinds of just over the time music, just classics. So come.
Amazing.
We'll send you a time, and you can, if you're up for it, join us.
Yes, please. This is so great. Thanks for being so welcoming and having me on today. Now I'm just the international crew. I love it.
Yeah, I know. And we'll travel with you when you go on tour. You'll have to send us your tour list and everything. But we have a little ambassador. Let's show her our ambassador of good manners. You got to see this because of your kids. You got to see this. This is really cute.
कोरोना वायरस से कैसे बचेंगे? ओके, हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे, अच्छू अच्छू। और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का।
Oh, I love it. She's so beautiful.
Zanka's little girl. She's our ambassador for new social manners. Wash your hands, put your arm up, and do this. Don't shake hands. No hugging. Do that.
I love it. She's
But that's-
adorable. Wow.
Yeah, but we got to start teaching our children better ways and, let them be the ambassadors. But thank you for joining us. I think we're going to wrap up here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Come again. Beam in and beam out. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
You take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. Isn't she lovely?
She's lovely, yeah. And she's multi-talented. I mean, she does a lot of things. And I think people who are coming to IBM TV, they all are talented. I think and they're great people. I mean, apart from their talent, they are good human being, and they are so kind, and they are ready to talk about the global society, and they are talking about the one world and spreading love and all those things. So it's great. It's wonderful.
And we started out with the guy from India, the cricket guy, Sila. How do you pronounce his name?
Salil Ankola.
Sila, yeah, he was amazing, and he's been doing acting for 20 years. I mean, it's just
multi-talented. I mean, we just discussed about cricket and entertainment. I mean, he is a fitness freak, and also he's a good chef. So there are a lot of things we haven't discussed, and he would love to come back on our show. I mean, whenever it's possible.
Have him come back on a cook. Have him do some cooking.
That's what I asked him, because he's good with very biryani. If you know the recipe with rice, we call it biryani. So he's very good with all those things. I mean, it's superb.
You know what's going to be fun is when we do get everybody together, I'm going to ask him if I can go on his set, and then I'm going to go visit Shia. We'll go to one of her concerts, but we'll eat food everywhere. We'll have to play a lot of chess to burn off those calories. Yeah. But and have Sasha on the show with us today has just been very, very enjoyable. I love it because he just comes up with these really cool questions. He's such a warm-hearted, loving person. I love his show on Saturday, folks. If it's not just about chess; it's about life. His show is about life. Of course, he inspires the chess game, but I think you'll enjoy it. Just try it. It's not about watching somebody play chess. They played music the other day.
Yeah, I know.
They talked about history. So definitely, Saturdays at 3, and then he's on our show Sundays. What time was that? Him and Jim are what, 1 or 2? 1?
1, I think, yeah.
1 o'clock. Those two guys get together, and it's better than a movie. It's better than a movie. I want to tell you what, I have more fun listening to them than I do watching some of the movies.
True.
But then, we've got the live music hours on Sundays. And folks, we've got Weed Wednesdays, though we've had some technical problems getting Jeff Icon on. But Weed Wednesday is tomorrow. We've got startups tomorrow. I'll let you talk about that. But Weed Wednesday. And then we've got, what's that called? Gutting the Sacred Cow, folks. Wednesday nights. I think it's 7 o'clock. We're going to be talking with Kevin today to talk about how we're going to get that ported in for you. But tonight, Gutting the Sacred Cow with Kevin Godey and his partner. And that's an unusual, unique show where they, Gutting the Sacred Cow, they always told me if it didn't bleed, it didn't lead in TV business. I think he picked that name on purpose. Yeah. But it's an interesting concept where they get the best movies, movies that are rated the best, and they kind of gut it out and say why it's not the best. Yeah. And they kind of
they let audience to pick up those movies, and then they'll talk about that.
Yeah, they got it. Yeah. We kind of played on that a little bit last night on the radio show that I was fortunate enough to be on, and we talked about some of the great things that people were doing. And then we got podcasters, that are coming and going. So, gosh, hey, Kit, this has been fun. The journey started out long, and Nick told me, he goes, I don't know how you and Ankit do this, but I think the energy from the people. I think it's the energy. What do you think?
It's the energy, and today I if I counted it, today is the 60th day. Every day we are doing it since 13th of March, and today is 12th of May, and we are doing these shows non-stop every day since 13th of March. And I think today is the 60th episode of IBM TV World News, where we are doing a lot of discussion on different topics. And for viewers, apart from whatever we have discussed, we are coming up with a yoga show, we are coming up with life coach, we are coming up with a cricket show, we are coming up with the sports show with football and maybe other sports, NBA and things like that. And we are also coming up with cooking show, a book show. So we are coming up with a lot of shows in near future. It's just that we're just trying to sort out the things and then how we can schedule it at a more appropriate time for all the audience around the world. So we are still
And
working
we're
on
building a movie channel. We're building a whole movie network. Ankit and I are working on it. But I'm going to give you guys a little example about what Ankit and I pulled off together. The 60 shows account for 240 hours of filming. That's 240 episodes. If you've ever done any TV work at all, that's 240 episodes. That's many seasons. That's more than what any news network is doing. We're doing more because generally they're on for 1 hour. So we literally pull off 240 episodes. Nick, can you hear that? That accumulates to 14,400 minutes.
Wow. Wonderful.
14,400. You have to know me to understand I do this, right? Like when and I don't know if you heard David K. Johnson mention about my invention and that, it cost $8 million per murder. He didn't believe me. He did not. So he had to go look it up and research it. But I was right. But I do that. Like my invention is 12 million victims. That accumulates to 26 victims per minute. That's a lot of victims per minute. So I break things down per minute so that you can sit there and think about, wow, in 1 minute, this is what happens, right? But we've done 14,400 minutes.
That's amazing.
High five. Way to go. Robert, I know, isn't that confusing? This is what I tell people, do this show and figure this out. So the other thing we have is we have Alexander's Musical Cafe. Can we play her? Do we have a new intro for her yet?
Not yet.
Well, we can play her old one.
I think let me check because I've removed a lot of videos, so I don't.
Okay, good, because we have to, because we get overloaded. People have no idea what we keep behind stage here. We stack photos, and that's why sometimes you see us struggling a little bit. But we have Alexandra's Musical Cafe that comes on Sundays. I don't even know how long did she just keeps going.
2 hours.
2 hours. See, I told her. Her show is becoming so great to listen to, and the people that she had on last week, I mean, the couple, they have done music jingles for famous people like Oprah Winfrey, and the list goes on. This girl's nonstop, and now she's doing a writer's round. If you ever get a chance to listen, it's just a lot of fun. But I told her, I said, 1 hour is not going to be enough, not for what you're lining up. You're going to have too much fun. And she just starts with everybody, boom. Nobody's sitting on backstage or anything. She just goes live. So she's wide open and fun to listen to if you get a chance. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock India. And I forget what time.
India is 12:30 midnight.
No, 12:30 midnight. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock. Yeah. But it's a good way to just listen to how country music's pulled together, because she had the Nashville Music Song Association organization there, the president of that. So anyway, but lots of good things. I'll let you introduce the rest of the week.
Sure. So it's time to wrap up for the show today, and I hope everyone is safe and healthy. And we had a good day, and future is even much better for our young audience. And I think we should be united and then spread a lot of love and happiness. And thank you. Namaste. Take care. Bye bye. And it's time to wrap up.